Chapter 2569. Of course not. Xiang Linglong shook her head and said, I am not in love with him. My relationship with him is not what you think it is. What is it? I cannot tell you. Anyway, he is different. It was true that Xiang Linglong didn't fall in love with Lu Li. Lu Li was not good enough to move her heart. Instead, she felt disgusted by Lu Li. The reason why their relationship had changed was that Lu Li also had the cursed evil body. That was all. Different? Ha ha. Qi Ding Dong smiled and muttered, The reason why women are attracted to men is because they're different from others. Linglong, be careful. Don't fall in love. You have a special identity. His identity and power are not good enough for you. Not good enough for me. Xiang Linglong smiled and said, I think he's not good enough for me. Oh, what are you talking about? Why are you thinking about these things every day? We don't even know if we can survive. Why are you thinking about these things? I believe I can survive. Qi Ding Dong said with a smile. She was not worried at all. Instead, she was optimistic. She tilted her head and said, I have met my family patriarch. He looked at me and touched my head. He said, I'm a blessed man. You know how powerful my family patriarch is, right? Ah, Xiang Linglong was surprised. The family patriarch of the Qi Ding Dong family was the reincarnation emperor, one of the top 3 emperors of the third heaven. He was very close to becoming a saint emperor. He had reached the peak of the fundamental principle of time and space and was about to reach the completion. Once he reached the completion, he would become a saint emperor. A man of this level might not be able to predict the future, but at least what he said was reasonable. A man of his level would not talk nonsense. He must have a reason. They moved on. After 4 days, they didn't run into a single wild man. Everyone in the spatial city was convinced by Lu Li. At least in this aspect, nobody could compare with Lu Li. We can't go any further. Lu Li stopped and said, There are a large number of wild men up ahead. This is the warning line. We cannot go around it. Lord Lu and Xiang Linglong said nothing. Qi Tianyin asked, Then what do we do? Lure the barbarians out, kill them all, and then burn their corpses? It's meaningless. Lu Li shook his head and said, Savages are quite intelligent. Since this group of savages is on guard, once they die, it will alert the other savages nearby. By then, a large number of savages will come to hunt for them. We're not too far from our base now. We won't be able to avoid them. Qi Tianyi nodded. Lu Li's analysis was reasonable. Lu Li said, Go into my interspatial artifact. I will take you with me. Don't worry. When we reach a safe place, I will let you out. Lu Li didn't want to stay with them any longer. He just wanted to get out as soon as possible without any trouble. Therefore, he made a prompt decision and asked everyone to go into the separated heaven bead. All right. Lord Lu and Xiang Linglong didn't have any objections. Qi Tianyin and Qi Ding Dong exchanged a glance and nodded helplessly. Lu Li took out the distant heaven bead and began to put people in. The distant heaven bead was spacious. It could fit 100,000 people, let alone 1,000. After everyone was taken in, Lu Li sent a message to the blood evil emperor. Evil emperor, where should we go? Should we avoid it? No. The blood evil emperor replied, Just fly over. Don't make it too much trouble. I will take care of the rest for you. Okay. Lu Li had a blind faith in the blood evil emperor. It was not easy for a warrior of the great emperor realm to deal with a group of barbarians, not to mention that it was the blood evil emperor that had made the barbarians so strong. Lu Li put away blood fairy, but he didn't fly up. It was not easy to use divine energy. Lu Li relied on his physical strength to run. He was not as fast as he could be, but he was fast enough. Bang, 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 bang. As soon as Lu Li dashed out, the ground in the distance began to crack. Then, hundreds of barbarians flew out. Lu Li took out his horn, just in case. But at that moment, the bead of soul glowed. A shadow appeared behind Lu Li. The shadow formed a dark halo behind Lu Li, making him look like an invincible demon. When the barbarians below saw the shadow, their faces immediately turned pale. They let out a few strange cries and flew down to the ground, their bodies shivering. Lu Li was surprised. He could understand why the blood evil emperor could do this. But wasn't the blood evil emperor their ancestor? Why were the barbarians trembling in fear instead of bowing down to worship the blood-evil emperor? This is a sign of an Asmodean god that I have created, the blood-evil emperor said. If you want the barbarians to worship you, you must bring them disasters and make them desperate. Then you can help them. In this way, you can become the savior of the world. Then everyone will have complete faith in you. The image behind you is the Asmodean god. That is why they are so afraid. Impressive, Luli exclaimed. The blood-evil emperor was quite skillful. Luli had no more concerns. He rushed on at the top of his speed. He lured out more barbarians underground. But when the barbarians saw the shadow behind him, they knelt on the ground in fear. They were too afraid to move. None of them dared to attack him. Just like that, Luli rushed on. He ran into many barbarians along the way, but nothing happened. Luli put his mind at ease about the blood-evil emperor. He rushed toward the tribes of barbarians. Luli was so efficient when he was at the top of his speed. In just 6 days, he was standing outside a city. He also saw 2 bodies hanging on the city wall. They were Recluse Han Shan and Lord Elephant Xiong. The city wall was crowded with barbarians. The plaza outside the city wall was crowded as well. Luli saw 3 barbarians standing on the city gate from the distance. They were all wearing crowns and were filled with energy. It was highly possible that they were the leaders of the 3 barbarians. Buzzing, the shadow behind Luli disappeared quietly. In its place, Luli's body began to glow. A golden shadow appeared. The shadow flew up to the sky. It was more than 1,000 feet tall, like a golden giant. The mighty energy it emitted made it more like an immortal. Plop, plop. Many people knelt down, including the 3 barbarians with crowns. All of them knelt down and prostrated themselves to the ground. Many pious and orderly voices came out. More than 1 million barbarians knelt down. It was a shocking scene. Impressive. Luli exhaled. Under the guidance of the blood-evil emperor, he flew toward the city wall. On his way there, he put away the bodies of Recluse Han Shan and Lord Elephant Xiong. Whoosh! Finally, under the guidance of the blood-evil emperor, Luli flew into a castle in the city. There was a huge black hole in the castle. Luli flew into the black hole without hesitation. Buzzing, the world was shaking. Luli felt it had been the time for more than a dozen breaths. After a white glare, he found himself on a small island. He looked around. He saw the frost-like coldness in the distance and the blue sky. Suddenly, he felt he was back in the world. Chapter 2570. It was a deserted island with nobody on it. Luli felt he had appeared out of thin air. He spread out his psychic power and was relieved to find that he could use his psychic power and divine energy again. Finally, I am out. Luli let out a sigh of relief. In that small world, no one was sure that they could survive. Even a lord had died. What was the point of his fighting ability? Fortunately, he had the divine chains of order which saved his life at the critical moment and allowed him to leave the small world successfully. Luli exclaimed to himself that it was better not to come here for fun. This time, he almost lost his life. Of the hundreds of thousands that went in, nearly 1,000 came out. If it were not for Luli, none of them would have made it out. Buzzing, the heaven separation bead glowed as teams of warriors were teleported out. As soon as they came out, they looked around. Seeing the coldness in the sea, many were delighted. Some were cheering, and some were crying tears of joy. Even Lord Qi Tianyin, Lord Lu, Ling Long, Qi Ding Dong, and the others have been under immense pressure recently. They had watched countless people die right in front of their eyes, and they had not been able to sleep well. Pessimistic and negative thoughts flashed through their minds, and many of them were even prepared to die. They could see the light of day again. They finally made it out alive. Not even a powerful warrior like Qi Tianyin could hide the joy of surviving a disaster. Lord Lu looked at Lu Li in a different light. Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong hugged each other and cheered for a while. Then, they turned to Lu Li with mixed feelings. Qi Tianyin was the same. He looked at Lu Li in a different light. His eyes were penetrating as if he was trying to see through Lu Li and see what cards he had hidden up his sleeves. Actually, it was not just Chi Tianyin and Chi Ding Dong. Lord Lu and Xiang Linglong didn't have much confidence in Lu Li. After all, Lu Li said he was at the base camp of the barbarian race. There was a barbarian race master there who could kill Lord Xiang Xiong and Hermit Coal Mountain. Could it be that Lu Li was a hidden lord? The thing was, Lu Li was young indeed. He acted like a young man, not a lethargic old man. If Lu Li was not a hidden lord, then what kind of trump card did he have that allowed him to fight against the clan leader of the barbarian race? Also, Lu Li knew where the exit was. Was it really because his attainments in divine inscriptions were high? There were too many questions. Lu Li had become a mysterious figure in everyone's mind. An early-stage fourth tribulation martial artist who was nothing in their eyes had actually brought everyone out. This made many people feel like they were dreaming. "Thank you, young friend Lu." Chi Tianyin was the first to react. He bowed deeply and said, "You are our savior. Our Chi family will never forget this favor." Chi Ding Dong, Xiang Linglong, and the rest of the people also bowed to express their gratitude. Lord Lu didn't salute Lu Li. He just nodded at Lu Li. "Everyone, please rise." Lu Li waved his hand and said, "It is fate that brought us to know each other. We are all humans, and we are in danger. Of course, we should help each other out. You don't have to be so polite. Little friend Lu, are you busy recently?" Chi Tianyin was satisfied with Lu Li's humble attitude. He said with a smile, "If you don't have anything else to do, can we go to the space city? Let us express our gratitude and show our sincerity." "Ha ha ha." Lu Li laughed and said, "Truth be told, I'm going to the space city. I want to go to the Ziyang land through the interspatial portal in your city." "That will be great," Chi Tianyin said with a smile. "Little friend Lu, please go to the space city and stay for a few days. We will take care of the teleportation to the Ziyang land. Then I won't stand on ceremony." Lu Li nodded. He turned to Xiang Linglong and said, "Lady Linglong, when I went to the city of the barbarian race, I found the bodies of Lord Xiang Xiong and Hermit Coal Mountain. I have collected their bodies, and I will give them to you now." "Okay, thank you, young Master Lu." Xiang Linglong's eyes reddened. Lord Xiang Xiong was a senior that she respected, and he was very kind to her. Lu Li took out the interspatial ring with the bodies of Xiang Xiong Fei and the others and gave them to Xiang Linglong. Xiang Linglong bowed again and said, "Young Master Lu, the Xiang family is not far from here. How about you go to the Xiang family and stay there for a few days? We can open the interspatial portal and send you to the space city." Lu Li didn't want to go to the Xiang family. Who could guarantee that the Xiang family wouldn't harm him? He was not afraid of the space city because it was universally recognized as a safe city. Nobody was allowed to use force, not even disciples of the Qi family. Only the law enforcement team had the right to protect the space city. Therefore, Lu Li refused in a euphemistic way. "Never mind. Next time, I have some urgent business to attend to at the Ziyang land. Next time, I will go to the Xiang family for sure." "I see," Xiang Linglong said with pity. "Young Master Lu, please stay in the space city for a few more days. After we settle down, we will go to the space city to thank you. Otherwise, our patriarchs will scold us for being rude." "Okay," Lu Li agreed. He looked at Lord Lu and asked, "Lord Lu, what's your plan?" "Ha ha ha." Lord Lu said with a smile, "I want to go to the space city as well. I will go with you." "Okay." Chi Tianyin took out a battleship, cupped his fist to Lu Li and said, "Lu, old Lu, please." Lu Li cupped his fist to the others and boarded the battleship with Lord Lu. Chi Ding Dong and Xiang Linglong talked for a while and then boarded as well. Hundreds of warriors of the Qi family boarded one after another. Chi Tianyin followed after some polite greetings. Soon, the battleship flew away. Xiang Linglong took out her battleship and left with the Xiang family warriors. The others dispersed and went back to their own homes. These people were from the nearby families. Soon, the news would be spread out. The entire frigid sea would know about the small world. In just a couple of days, the news had spread out. Many people were waiting in the nearby waters, so the news spread quickly. That entrance had disappeared a long time ago. So many people had gone in for such a long time, but nobody had come out. This in itself had attracted the attention of all the forces in the frigid sea. Finally, someone came out, but they were told that most of the people in there were dead. Even Lord Xiang Xiong, Hermit Cold Mountain, and the powerful warriors of the Qi family in the space city were killed. This was a big deal. In that strange, small world, the divine energy of warriors was chaotic. There were many powerful barbarians and indigenous people. Almost hundreds of thousands of people were killed. All of this was shocking. The title of God of Massacre had become famous. So many people in there could not find the exit, but a warrior at the initial stage of the Fourth Tribulation did. What was more, he knew powerful soul skills and had treasures from ancient times. He could suppress the barbarians easily, kill his way into the base camp of the barbarian race, and escape with his warriors. Chapter 2571. Lu Li and the others were some distance away from the space city. Even though the battleship was fast, it took them more than 20 days to arrive at the space city. More than 20 days was enough for the news to spread across the frigid sea. Even the flying fire continent had heard about it. It caused quite a stir. All kinds of rumors were flying around. Lu Li became a legend. Later on, it was said that Lu Li was actually a hidden Emperor Realm warrior. Otherwise, how could he lead them out so easily? There was also a rumor that the most important young lady of the Xiang family, the Iceberg Beauty, had fallen for Lu Li. Even Qi Dingdong, one of the young ladies of the Qi family, had fallen for him. Before Lu Li and the others arrived at the space city, the news had already reached here. Many young masters were gathering here as well. Xiang Linglong was a famous Iceberg Beauty. Many young masters had been in love with her for years. How could she be taken by an outsider? This caused many young masters to be unhappy. They all wanted to see who this person was. Many young masters and young ladies of the frigid sea gathered at the space city. It was a grand occasion. Some talented warriors of the Mo family came as well. The space city was especially lively. Lu Li didn't know about this. He was stunned by the space city. From the distance, he saw a boulder floating in midair. The boulder was more than 300 miles in length and width. It was more like a floating island. On the boulder was a black city with a city wall as high as 2 miles. The battleship was floating in midair. Lu Li and the others looked down from the deck. They could see many castles in a picturesque disorder. There was no end to it. The floating city, the space city. This city was famous in the third heaven because one of the most powerful emperors lived here. The space city itself was a super force with the ability to teleport people to different places around the world. In front of the city was a plaza where many people were standing. Lu Li used psychic power to check. Many of them were patriarchs of the space city. Their leader was a powerful warrior of the Lord Realm. Grandpa, Qi Dingdong burst into tears when she saw the powerful warrior of the Lord Realm. She was like a wrong child. She flew down and rushed into the old man's arms. Qi Tianyin smiled and said, "Little friend Lu, my family's second elder personally came to welcome you. Ordinary family leaders don't have this kind of face. Let's go. I'll take you down." Lu Li cupped his fists and left with Qi Tianyin and Lord Lu. Second Patriarch patted Qi Dingdong's head and said with a smile, "Okay, guests are here. Dingdong is a big girl now. Don't embarrass yourself." Qi Dingdong stopped crying and stood on the side in embarrassment. Qi Tianyin walked over with Lu Li and Lord Lu. He saluted and said, Second Patriarch, Patriarchs. This is Lu, God of Massacre, and this is Lu Wenxian. I believe many of you have heard of Lu Wenxian. He, the second elder, was all smiles, his countenance kind and benevolent. He nodded slightly and said, "This old man has naturally heard of immortal Lu's fame. This old man also knows all about little friend Lu's deeds. This time, our Qi clan is greatly indebted to you, and we will definitely repay you well." Lu Li cupped his fists and said with humility, "Second Patriarch, you are too kind. I have only done some small things. It is not worthy of the word indebted. Little friend Lu, you are so young. Not only are you powerful, you're humble as well. You are a dragon among men." Second Patriarch looked at Lu Li with appreciation. He held Lu Li's hand and said, "Little friend Lu, let's go. There's a banquet inside. We must have some drinks and let you have a taste of the delicacies of the frigid sea. Second Patriarch took Lu Li to a luxurious chariot. He was in the same chariot as Lu Li, which made some young masters and young ladies envious. Second Patriarch of the spatial city had great power in the spatial city and even in the entire frigid sea. He could make the frigid sea tremble with a stomp of his foot. Don't be fooled by his kind countenance and smiling face. Once he was enraged, countless people would suffer. Warriors lined up in front, and the chariots moved forward in a line. Second Patriarch and the others made quite an ostentatious scene. Lu Li enjoyed being a big shot. Along the way, he attracted many people's attention. Many looked at him with respect and envy. They went directly to a manor at the north of the city. Lu Li and Lu Wenxian were arranged to stay in a hall. Lu Li was seated at the first seat on the left, and Lu Wenxian was seated at the second. It was evident how much the Qi family valued Lu Li. Second Patriarch valued Lu Li because, for one thing, Lu Li had saved Qi Dingdong, his favorite granddaughter. For another, Lu Li had mysterious means. Qi Tianyin had sent someone back to report everything. A warrior at the initial stage of the fourth tribulation knew powerful soul attacks and understood divine glyphs. More importantly, he could go into the city of the barbarian race and bring people out. Lu Li brought back the bodies of Lord Xiang Xiong and Recluse Cold Mountain, which proved that he did go to the city of the barbarian race. There was a barbarian race leader in the city, but the barbarian race leader was someone that could kill Lord Xiang Xiong, which indirectly proved that Lu Li's means were extraordinary. Even if he was not a hidden, powerful warrior, he must have mysterious means. The third heaven was a large place with many people with special abilities. As far as Second Patriarch was concerned, Lu Li was one of them. Second Patriarch held Lu Li's hand for an ulterior motive. Through their interaction, Second Patriarch realized that Lu Li was not in disguise. He was really young, about the same age as Qi Dingdong. Lu Li's young age made Second Patriarch think more highly of him. Therefore, Second Patriarch treated Lu Li with high standards. He came out to greet Lu Li in person. At the moment, there were more than a dozen patriarchs accompanying Lu Li. Of course, neither the city owner nor the chief patriarch of the spatial city showed up. The spatial city was not an average force, but a super force. Not even the patriarchs of the Hall of Warfare of the Xiang family were qualified to meet the city owner and the chief patriarch. The sumptuous banquet was enjoyed by the host and guests. Lu Li also tasted the delicacies and fine wines unique to the frigid sea. He had seen many grand occasions, and he had tasted some delicious food. He didn't have to go to the city like a country bumpkin. Qi family arranged a manor for Lu Li. Qi family was going to arrange a manor for Lord Lu as well, but Lord Lu said that he would live with Lu Li. Lu Li was surprised. He was not a pretty girl. Why would Lord Lu want to live with him? Big as the manor was, Lu Li still felt strange. Of course, Lu Li could not turn Lord Lu down. After all, they had been through thick and thin together. Lord Lu had always trusted Lu Li. Lord Lu was a man with special abilities. He had been right on 2 occasions. The first time, Lu Li could walk out of that small world with Lu Li. The second time, in the Blood Pond, Lu Li was sure that there was a door of life in the door of death. It turned out to be just as Lu Li said. After so many people died, there was a chance of survival. At first, Lu Li didn't believe in the art of divination. But when he met Astro Emperor in the 9 universes, he began to believe in it. Now that he met Lu Wenxian, he was even more convinced. They were sent to the manor. After the servants left, Lu Li activated the inhibition formation and said to Lu Wenxian with a smile, "Lord Lu, do you have something to ask me?" "No." Chapter 2572. 10,000 Years. Lu Li thought he had heard it wrong. A warrior at the peak of the 5th tribulation and a famous warrior at the frigid sea area who had lived for many years said he would follow Lu Li for 10,000 years. The word follow could not be used casually. It meant that he would be Lu Li's servant and follow him everywhere. If Lu Li was in danger, he would protect Lu Li with his life. Lu Li was taken aback. He looked at Lord Lu and realized that Lord Lu did not seem to be joking. Luli thought about it and asked after the time for 10 breaths. Lord Lu, I want to know, why? It is simple, Lord Lu said with a smile. I believe in your future, and I want to make plans for future generations. The reason was simple and straightforward. Lord Lu was willing to follow Lu Li for 10,000 years. When Lu Li truly became a warrior at the third heaven, he would be able to take care of Lord Lu's descendants. For example, when Lu Li became a powerful warrior of the Emperor realm, then Lord Lu's descendants could be prosperous for generations to come. The longer Lu Li could live, the longer he could protect Lord Lu's descendants. Lu Li thought about it and said, Lord Lu, I can make it clear to you that my comprehensive abilities are only at the later stage of the fifth tribulation, and my realm is only at the initial stage of the fourth tribulation. I have no background or resources at the third heaven. I am not sure how far I can go in the future. I hope you can think about it carefully. I trust my feelings, Lord Lu said with a smile. You know that I have some superficial knowledge of divination. I can infer some mysteries, and I am confident about your future. Oh, Lu Li asked with interest. Lord Lu, can you tell me what you have found out? I can only tell you a little. Lord Lu thought about it and said, your life will be rough. You will have to go through 7 trials. As long as you can survive them, you will have a meteoric rise, and you will look down upon all warriors. At least, the Emperor realm will not be difficult. 7 great calamities? Lu Li's pupils contracted. Ling Long said he was a 7 tribulation incarnation, and the blood evil king admitted it as well. 7 tribulation incarnation? Was he going to go through 7 trials? Then, how many calamities had he survived? He had been on the verge of death many times. If so, he must have been through many trials. Lu Li asked, Lord Lu, can you tell me? How many calamities have I survived? 3 times. Lord Lu gave him 3 thumbs up. Lu Li frowned and thought about it carefully. According to what Lord Lu said, the mortal world, the immortal world, and the second heaven were counted as one. The third layer of heaven had encountered so many things, yet none of them were considered a great calamity. At the third layer of heaven, he had been killed by the Muddy Sky Blood Eagle clan. Then, he had narrowly escaped death in the Rakshasa Sea. In the Silver Flame Sea region, he was chased by the Wu clan. So many dangerous situations were not considered a great calamity. For more tribulations, Lu Li forced a smile. Given his current abilities, how horrifying would it be if he were to encounter a catastrophe? This wasn't just 1 tribulation, but 4 more. Could it be that the 7 tribulation heavenly emanations really had to go through 7 calamities? Only then could he rise from the ashes. Xiang Linglong was also a 7 tribulation heaven emanations. Could it be that Xiang Linglong would also experience 7 calamities? When Xiang Linglong comes over, I can ask her. Lu Li nodded and said to Lord Lu, Lord Lu, now that you have made up your mind, I will not say more. I can only promise you one thing. If I can make it in the future, I will not let you down. Thank you, young master. Lord Lu bowed and said seriously, Young master, don't call me Lord Lu from now on. Just call me Old Lu. From today on, I am your old servant. No need for formalities. You and I are friends. There is no such thing as master and servant. Lu Li helped Lu Wenxian up. He thought about it and said, Lord Lu, Old Lu, I have to go back to a place in the second heaven. Resources are scarce there. I may have to stay there for hundreds of years. How about no? Lu Wenxian shook his head and said, I will go wherever you go, young master. I will follow you for 10,000 years and be your old servant. What about your family? Lu Li asked. Don't you need to take care of them? If you go with me and something happens to your family. No, Lord Lu said with a smile. I have already made arrangements. My family lives in a secluded place and the frigid sea is safe. Also, I have some connections. If something happens to my family, they will go to the Ram family for help. The Ram family is one of the 4 forces in the frigid sea. Okay, Lu Li didn't argue. Where else could he find a free servant like this who was at the peak of the fifth tribulation and possessed unpredictable abilities? Lu Li was not stupid. Lu Li and Lord Lu chatted for a while. Lu Li trusted Lord Lu. The most important thing was that the Blood Evil King was with him. If Lord Lu had any ill intentions, the Blood Evil King could kill him easily. Lu Li told Lord Lu about how he came up from the mortal world. After all, he had told Lord Lu about his real abilities, and Lord Lu followed him willingly. Lord Lu didn't mind at all. Instead, he exclaimed that Lu Li had a hard time. Lord Lu said that since Lu Li survived 3 trials, he must have good fortune in the future. As long as Lu Li could survive the next 4 trials, he would have a meteoric rise and reach the peak of the 3rd realm. Lu Wenxian also told Lu Li about himself. He said that if it weren't for the fact that he had learned divination, he would have reached the Lord Realm by now. It was because he had seen through so many mysteries that he was rejected by the god. It would be hard for him to reach the Lord Realm in this lifetime. After they chatted for a while, the banquet began again. This time, it was not the older generation that invited Lu Li, but the younger generation. Qi Ding Dong came to invite Lu Li in person. Lu Li and Lord Lu went to the banquet hall. At first glance, they saw a young master sitting at the head of the table. This man was so aggressive, like an unparalleled sword. Just one look at him would make people feel depressed. Young Master Lu, Qi Ding Dong changed into a red dress and turned into a red rose, which reminded Lu Li of the fire rose he met on the battleship. She pointed to the young master who was showing off and introduced him to Lu Li. This is my brother Tianyu, the most powerful young master of the Qi family and also the most powerful young master of the Frigid Sea. Qi Tianyu. Lu Li had heard of this man before. He tried to sense and found that Qi Tianyu had reached the peak of the 5th tribulation. Lu Li exclaimed to himself that the most powerful young master in the spatial city deserved his reputation. It was said that the reincarnation emperor liked this young man very much. Impressive. There were many other young masters and young ladies in the hall. Qi Ding Dong was about to make some introductions when Qi Tianyu said, "You are god of massacre, Lu? I heard that you are a hidden emperor realm warrior. Can you teach me a thing or two?" Qi Tianyu's tone was calm, but his words were provocative and hostile. Lu Li frowned. He sensed that Qi Tianyu didn't come with good intentions. Chapter 2573. Teach him a lesson. This sentence was not said casually. It was a signal of challenge. If it was someone else, they would not be able to tolerate it. Lu Li was the benefactor of the Qi family. He had saved Qi Tianin, Qi Ding Dong, and hundreds of other warriors of the Qi family. It was not right for Qi Tianyu to challenge him as soon as he came. Lu Li and Qi Tianyu were strangers, and there was no grudge between them. The only problem must be Xiang Linglong and Qi Ding Dong. Judging by Qi Ding Dong's attitude towards Qi Tianyu, it must be because of Xiang Linglong. Qi Tianyu had been pursuing Xiang Linglong for years, but she paid no attention to him. Now, she was so close to Lu Li. Whether it was out of jealousy or shame, Qi Tianyu was hurt. A young master of a top family would have good self-restraint. Lu Li was the benefactor of the Qi family, so the only conclusion was that Lu Li had irritated him. Qi Ding Dong's expressions changed. He glared at Qi Tianyu and said, "Brother Tianyu." Qi Tianyu ignored Qi Ding Dong and kept looking at Lu Li with provocation. Lu Li had to admit that Qi Tianyu was unique among all the young masters Lu Li had seen. That extraordinary appearance, that insufferably domineering, coupled with his powerful strength, his noble temperament, and his identity as the #1 young master of the Cold Tide Sea region, made many people look up to him, feeling ashamed of their inferiority. A dragon among men. This was the kind of person that Qi Tianyu was talking about. He was the same kind as the dragon reverse abyss of the dragon rebel race. He was the chosen one. Many people of the same generation could only be their stepping stones. They would be overshadowed by their brilliance and would have to bow to their power. Lu Li squinted. He decided to swallow his anger after some thoughts. He was not a kid anymore. He didn't have to be jealous over a woman. What was more, he was not pursuing Xiang Linglong. Why would he be jealous? Lu Li said with a smile, "Young Master Qi, you are mistaken. I am not a powerful warrior of the Emperor realm. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. Of course, if you don't welcome me, I can leave now. He didn't want to fall out with Qi Tianyu, which might affect his teleportation to the Ziyang land. Therefore, he had to settle for the next best thing. If he was not welcome, then he could leave. He wouldn't eat at this dinner. Ha ha ha. Qi Tianyu laughed out loud, and the sharpness on his face receded a little. He waved his hand and said, "Young Master Lu, what are you talking about? I was just joking with you. Killing God saved Ding Dong and Uncle Tianin, which is a great favor to our Qi family. How could Tianyu dare to neglect it?" The young master of a large family was indeed thick-skinned. Just now, he had spoken rudely, and now he was saying that he wouldn't dare to slight him. Lu put on a spurious smile and said nothing. "Young Lord Lu." Qi Ding Dong had a pleading look on his face as he transmitted his voice. "My brother Tianyu has been spoiled by his family, so his temper is a little bad. I hope you won't be angry. Ding Dong will apologize to you." Lu thought about it and smiled. Under the guidance of Qi Ding Dong, he went to the first seat on the left and sat down. Old Deer went to the lower seats and sat down. Qi Ding Dong continued to introduce to Lu. Those who were able to attend today were the top young masters and young ladies of the spatial city, not only from the Qi family, but also the young masters and young mistresses from the other two families. There were two other great clans in Space City, but they had always been dependent on the Qi clan. The Qi family sent 6 young masters and 2 young ladies. The other two families sent a total of 8 people, 4 young masters and 4 young ladies. The young masters at the banquet were all handsome, and the young ladies were as beautiful as fairies. The 2 young ladies of the other 2 families, in particular, were clearly the type of socializer. At the banquet, they were full of witty words, sweet smiles, and lustful eyes, which made the atmosphere lively. Qi Tianyu seemed to have forgotten about the previous unpleasantness. He kept toasting Lu, and so did the others. That being said, Lu could feel his cowardice had made the young masters and young ladies look down on him from the bottom of their hearts. The young masters and young ladies valued their dignity the most. For them, their dignity was more important than their lives. They could lose, but they could not cower from a fight. That would be the behavior of a coward. Lu didn't mind. He was not born in a prestigious family, so he was not afraid of losing his family's face. He had passed the age where he needed to fight for his dignity back. The banquet lasted until midnight. The young masters and young ladies were just chatting. Lu seldom interrupted. Everyone was talking in high spirits about the frigid sea. Occasionally, someone would ask about the small world that Lu was in. A young lady asked Lu how he found the exit. What if he brought them out? This was the question that troubled everyone. Lu gave the same excuse. He said that he had seen through the formation and found the exit. As for how he got out, he already had a story. He said he used divine patterns to cover his qi and energy. When he arrived at the city wall, he built many divine patterns to distract the barbarians and then rushed out as fast as he could. He attributed everything to the divine patterns. After all, there was no way to verify it. He was really good at divine patterns, which many people knew. Naturally, no one believed Lu's words. Not even Qi Ding Dong. After all, the barbarians had a family patriarch. How could he distract the barbarians with some divine patterns? Did he think those barbarians were beasts without intelligence? Lu wouldn't tell them, and they couldn't get anything out of him. They chatted until midnight. Then Lu left. As soon as Lu left, people began to ridicule him. Some even had doubts. Qi Ding Dong couldn't stand it anymore. He left. In the following days, the Qi family arranged several more banquets. But the older generation didn't come. Only the younger generation came. Young masters from other families were invited. For example, young masters and young ladies of the Gong family who were related to Lu Xian and some descendants of the Mo family. This time, the spatial city was unprecedentedly crowded. Almost all the young masters and young ladies of the Xiang family were here, apart from the Xiang family. Lu also witnessed the charm of the top-notch young masters and young ladies of the Frigid Sea area. The weakest among them was at the initial stage of the fifth tribulation. The top-notch young masters and young ladies at the third heaven were impressive. 6 days later, Xiang Linglong and Bai Ye, the most powerful young master of the Xiang family, arrived. The spatial city became even livelier. After the news spread out, many young masters became extremely excited. On her way back to the Xiang family, Xiang Linglong made another breakthrough. She was at the peak of the fifth tribulation. When she entered the Ivory City, an old warrior passing by saw through her and determined that she had the malevolent body of 7 tribulations. As a matter of fact, it was not a secret among the 4 forces of the Frigid Sea area that Xiang Linglong was a malevolent body of 7 tribulations. But this was the first time. It just so happened that all the top-notch young masters and young ladies of the Frigid Sea area were gathered here. That was why it caused such a sensation. The malevolent body of 7 tribulations was a legend. Nobody could be sure if it was real or not. That being said, many big families and powerful warriors had heard of the legend. Now, Xiang Linglong was believed to be the legendary malevolent body of 7 tribulations. Naturally, her value had increased. Many young masters took action after hearing the news. They wanted to visit Xiang Linglong at once. However, they found out that Xiang Linglong went to Lu Li's manor. She was there for more than half a day, and she didn't come out until midnight. Chapter 2574. Xiang Linglong did stay in Lu Li's yard for half a day, but there was nothing romantic between them. Lu Li didn't have any romantic feelings because Old Deer was there for the whole afternoon. Xiang Linglong didn't have any romantic feelings either. They chatted for the whole afternoon. At night, they began to talk about the 7 calamities. Lu Li told Xiang Linglong about what Lord Lu told him. Xiang Linglong was so surprised that she almost asked Lu Li to call Lord Lu over. Xiang Linglong said that she had experienced 3 great tribulations since she was a child. If this one was included, then it would be 4 great tribulations. Not long after she was born, her mother was killed. She was hidden on an island by her mother and almost starved to death. By the time her father found her, she was dying of hunger. She was attacked by the coldness of the cold wave. She was sick for more than 10 years after she went back. But it was a blessing in disguise. She learned the fundamental principle of frost, and her abilities improved quickly. In more than 10 years, she reached the 4 calamities realm. The second calamity was the first time she went out for training. She was chased by her enemies, and all the people she was protecting were killed. She escaped for more than half a year with the help of a treasure given by her family. She escaped into the broken space and got lost. When she finally got out, she found herself at the Flying Fire continent. The third calamity was even worse. It was a big event organized by her family. More than a dozen patriarchs went, but they all died. Apart from her and a powerful warrior of the Xiang family, thousands of powerful warriors were killed. She and that powerful warrior made it back with great difficulty. It took her 3 years to recover. Her trip to the small world was miserable as well. So many warriors of the Xiang family went. Lord Xiang Xiong and Fei Xiang Xiong both died. If it were not for Lu Li, she would have died in the blood pond as well. The two discussed for a long time. The words 7 calamities realm carried a lot of meaning. They couldn't be chosen randomly. 7 calamities were either 7 heavens tribulations or 7 major calamities. But the word calamity was hard to say. Could it be that people with such a body type were born to be alone? No matter where he went, he would cause a huge mess. Many people will die. In this way, Lu Li fit the description. Lu Li traveled from the heaven reverse universe to the 9 universes, ascended to the divinity, reached the 2nd heaven, and then the 3rd heaven. Wherever he went, there would be bloody battles. Wherever he went, there would be huge battles. Corpses were strewn everywhere, and blood flowed like rivers. When Lu Li asked about Xiang Linglong, she seemed to have the same feeling. Many people had died in her several disasters. Once, there was a group of young masters who fought over her because they were jealous of her. More than 4,000 people died. Xiang Linglong suddenly came to her senses. She looked outside and found that it was already late at night. She quickly stood up with a red face and said goodbye. She was a young lady from a prestigious family. Staying at Lu Li's place for so long would damage her reputation. She was originally here to invite Lu Li to the banquet tomorrow, but she didn't expect to talk until late at night. She hurriedly said something to Lu Li and told him to go to the biggest restaurant in the city for a banquet at noon tomorrow. Then she left in a hurry. Outside the manor, Xiang Linglong noticed that there were many scouts outside. Clearly, they were sent by the bored young masters to check on the situation. She had stayed in Lu Li's manor until midnight, when so many people were paying attention to her. Inevitably, people would think of Fei Fei. Xiang Linglong blushed and left in a hurry. Seeing that she was in such a state, all of the scouts felt uneasy. They looked at each other and sent the news back to their respective scouts. It was easy for rumors to go awry. Of course, this was also the case with Xiang Linglong, a pure and unblemished young lady. An icy beauty who had never spoken to any man, had immediately entered a man's manor after coming to Space City, and had only left at midnight. When she left, her face was flushed, and her footsteps were in a hurry. That night, several restaurants were full. Many young masters were drunk. From Qi Tianyu's room came some noises. Everything in the room was smashed into pieces. Many servants were trembling in fear. They were afraid that this bad-tempered young master would tear them apart in a fit of rage. Many servants believed that if it were not for the fact that Lu Li was a guest of the Qi family, and that he had saved the lives of Qi Dingdong and Qi Tianin, Qi Tianyu would have brought someone with him to kill Lu Li and cut him into pieces. These servants had never seen Qi Tianyu lose his temper like this. Lu Li was a guest of the Qi family, a benefactor of the Qi family. Therefore, even if Xiang Linglong had spent the night in Lu Li's room, Qi Tianyu could not do anything. The Qi family was not a small family. If Qi Tianyu dared to do anything, all the important figures of the Qi family would be furious. Qi Tianyu had no chance to do anything. As soon as he moved, patriarchs would come and take him down. What a joke. The benefactor of the Qi family was killed by the most powerful young master of the Qi family. If this matter was spread out, how could the Qi family have a foothold in the third heaven? The reputation of the Qi family would be ruined. Many young masters didn't leave after a night of drinking. They stayed near the tavern, waiting for Lu Li to show up. They were all informed that the Xiang family was going to invite Lu Li to the biggest tavern in the city at noon. They were waiting for Lu Li to show up. They didn't go to the biggest tavern. Instead, they sat in a small tavern nearby. Coincidentally, they all sat in a low-key manner. They didn't intend to make trouble. That being said, the gathering of so many young masters did attract the attention of a law enforcement team in the city. The news was reported to their superiors at once. In the end, it was reported to Qi Dingdong's grandpa, second patriarch. Tianyu lost control of his emotions last night. Second patriarch asked with a smile. After getting a positive answer, second patriarch waved his hand and said, "Don't worry about them. If they want to make trouble, let them. Just don't use force in the city. You keep an eye on them. If anyone tries to use force, take him down." "What if Lu Li does?" Patriarch of the Hall of Scouts asked. "He is not that stupid. Didn't Tianyu provoke him? He didn't fight back, did he?" Second Patriarch said with a smile, "If they're going to fight outside the city, let me know at once. I want to see what secrets this guy is hiding." Not only Second Patriarch, but many people of the Qi family were interested in Lu Li as well. After all, a lord of the Qi family died in there. Lord Xiang Xiong and Hanshan House were all famous powerful warriors. They were all killed by the master of the barbarian race. Yet, Lu Li could bring them out so easily. This was suspicious. Patriarch of the Hall of Scouts thought about it and asked, "What if Tianyu goes out as well? What should we do?" "Take him down." Chapter 2575. The show was about to begin. As soon as Lu Li and Old Deer walked out of the Qi family's manor, they were noticed. Lu Li and Old Deer both noticed, but they didn't mind. This was the spatial city. Things might go wrong in other places, but not here. Lu Li and Old Deer rode the chariot from the north of the city to the center. They were stopped outside the plaza in the middle. It was a servant. He was not here to make trouble, but to deliver an invitation. It was a challenge. The name was clearly written on it. Yuan family's fourth young master, Heaven Emperor Yuan. It was also written that he was here because of Lu Li's reputation. He admired Lu Li's strength and wanted to learn from him. This was a standard challenge. It was popular in the third heaven as well. Usually, it was an invitation for the younger generation of the major families to compete with each other. Of course, it could be that some old demons admired some powerful warriors and wanted to improve themselves through battles. Others wanted to gain fame. After all, if you defeated some famous powerful warriors, you would be famous. The one who sent the invitation was a young master of a major family nearby. He signed his name, which meant he had a good reason to do so. Any other young master would think twice. Lu Li crushed the invitation and said, "I will not participate in any challenges. Let him find someone else. I'm not famous. I am only at the initial stage of the fourth tribulation. Your young master is at the fifth tribulation. Isn't this bullying?" There were many people in the plaza. Lu Li's words caused boos. Lu Li was a famous person now. He was the guest of honor of the Qi family and the Xiang family. This was a position of supreme honor. In other words, Lu Li was a big shot now. Big shots will want to save face. It was fine that he refused the challenge. But he said he was at the initial stage of the fourth tribulation. If someone challenged him, it would be bullying. This was the first time many people had seen such a self-damaging behavior. Others wanted to brag to the world about how powerful and awesome he was. Lu Li waved his hand, and the chariot moved on. The servant paused for a second. He sneered at Lu Li's direction and left. Lu Li had just moved forward for thousands of feet when the chariot was stopped again. This time, it was by a young master. That man was wearing a black brocade robe. He had two old servants with him. He looked dignified and had a fan in his hand. He was smiling. "I am Mo Xiaodian." The young master was very polite. He bowed slightly and said with a smile, "My great-grandfather is Mo Zhen. I wonder if Lord Lu has heard of him?" Of course, Lu Li had never heard of Mo Zhen. He turned to Patriarch Lu, who explained, "Mo Zhen is an old demon at the Frigid Sea area. He is a powerful warrior of the Lord Realm, a horrifying one. He is famous at the Frigid Sea area." "Oh." Lu Li nodded, stood up, and said, "Greetings, young Master Mo. What can I do for you by stopping my chariot?" "I can't say that I'm teaching you." Mo Xiaodian replied politely, "I've heard of Death God Lu's fame, so I came here from Soul-Chasing Island to spar with you. I wonder if the Azura God can fulfill this little wish of mine. Don't worry, we won't hurt anyone." In the last two sentences, Mo Xiaodian's provocation was clear. He was telling Lu Li not to be afraid and that he would not kill him. The provocation was too obvious. Lu Li was having a headache. Clearly, these people were not here because of Lu Li's fame. Clearly, they were targeting him. He had no enmity with the young masters at the Frigid Sea area. Then the problem was simple. These young masters must be here because of jealousy. They were here for Xiang Linglong. Today, the Xiang family invited him to a banquet. These young masters were blocking his way. It was not good for him to accept the challenge or not. If he didn't, his reputation would be tarnished. If he did, what if Lu Li couldn't beat them? That would be even more humiliating, face-slapping. The purpose of these young masters was clear. They were here to slap him in the face. Many of them might be sent by Qi Tianyu. Of course, Xiang Linglong wouldn't fall in love with him if Lu Li was humiliated. Since ancient times, beauties loved heroes. How could a beauty fall in love with a coward, a good-for-nothing? Lu Li didn't even ask Old Deer. He figured it out after some thoughts. It seemed that Xiang Linglong staying at his place until midnight last night had shattered many people's fragile hearts. Lu Li said without hesitation, "Young Master Mo, you've got the wrong person. I am only at the initial stage of the fourth tribulation. I'm just a small warrior. How can I be famous? What is there to spar with me? Do you want Master Lu to play with you?" This time, Lu Li's voice was loud. Many people nearby heard it. Everyone was in an uproar. Did Lu Li really not care about his reputation? It was hard for a man to build up his reputation. Many people worked hard for tens of thousands of years and could only earn a little bit of fame. Lu Li didn't cherish it. Lu Li really didn't care about that. What was the use of fame? Could it be eaten? Could it bring you any benefits? Of course, there were benefits. But Lu Li didn't care. He was firm without desire. He didn't like Ling Long, nor would he pursue her. Therefore, many people thought that he was humiliated and suppressed. But he didn't care. His reputation would be tarnished, and the Xiang family and Xiang Ling Long would look down on him. So what? Without the support of powerful combat power, a false reputation would only be a burden. When one's fighting abilities were improved, he could show some moves and kill some powerful warriors. His reputation would be built up. Why would he need to compete with these young masters? Mo Xiaotian didn't expect Lu Li to be so cowardly. Asking him to fight with Lu Wenxian? He wasn't a fool. Not even Qi Tianyu would dare to do that. Lu Wenxian had reached the peak of the Fifth Tribulation 10,000 years ago. Since young Master Lu has admitted defeat, then I will leave now. Mo Xiaotian tried to provoke Lu Li one last time. Seeing that Lu Li didn't respond, Mo Xiaotian had to leave. Lu Li shook his head and let the chariot move on. However, he was stopped by two young masters again after a few miles. Again, they were here to ask for a fight, first with words and then with force. If Lu Li said yes, then they would fight outside the city. Since Lu Li had already said no, he wouldn't waste any more time. He admitted defeat and refused directly. Lu Li was only several miles away from the tavern where the Xiang family held the banquet, but he was stopped 8 times along the way. Everyone was here to ask for a fight. In the end, there was a warrior at the peak of the Fourth Tribulation who asked for a fight with Lu Li. Lu Li refused all of them. He said something at the beginning and then said he wouldn't fight anymore. Xiang Ling Long and White Tooth, the most powerful young master of the Xiang family, stood at the door to greet them. Today, Xiang Ling Long was in splendid attire. She was stunning. When Lu Li got off the chariot, she said with embarrassment, "Young Master Lu, I am sorry that you have been wronged because of me." Someone of the Xiang family had found out that Lu Li was being challenged and humiliated along the way and told them. Chapter 2576. Ling Long was a cold beauty, while White Tusk was a well-mannered gentleman. At least, that was Lu Li's first impression. White Tusk was not like Qi Tianyu, who showed off his abilities, nor was he arrogant like the other top-level young masters. As the most important young master of the Xiang family, White Tusk didn't give Lu Li the slightest sense of arrogance. He was modest, but he wouldn't let others look down on him. He was well-mannered and knew when to advance and when to retreat. 5 patriarchs of the Xiang family came, and one of them was a patriarch with real power. The Xiang family also sent Lu Li a generous gift. There were hundreds of millions of divine stones, piles of materials, and a piece of emperor weapon. Admittedly, the Xiang family was very particular. Maybe there was another meaning. The Xiang family had repaid Lu Li's kindness, and they hoped that Lu Li would leave the pearl of the Xiang family alone. White Tusk didn't say it explicitly, but there was an underlying meaning in his words, which made Xiang Ling Long angry. That being said, it was inappropriate for her to say too much on this occasion. "Young Master White Tusk, Lord Xiang." Lu Li picked up a goblet of wine with a smile and said, "Truth be told, if it weren't for the fact that you wanted to come, I would be at the Ziyang land by now. Maybe I wouldn't come to the third heaven for hundreds of years." So ha. Xiang Linglong's expressions changed. She thought about it and said, "Got a massacre? You don't have to do this. My home is in a universe of the second heaven." Lu Li explained with a smile, "I have been out for a long time. I want to go back and cultivate for a while." "I see." White Tusk nodded and said, "Young Master Lu, go back and cultivate. If you ever go to the third heaven, you are welcome to visit the Xiang family at any time." Now that Lu Li had made his point, the atmosphere of the banquet became more intense. Xiang Linglong toasted Lu Li and sent a message to him. "Young Master Lu, I didn't tell anyone that you were a 7 trials evil spirit. I didn't even tell my family. I hope you won't tell anyone about me." "Don't worry," Lu Li replied. "I will not tell anyone about this. This is a secret between us." As soon as he finished his words, Lu Li felt something was off. Xiang Linglong's cheeks blushed as well. She glared at Lu Li. Xiang Baya and the others saw all of this, and they grew even more wary. Their Xiang clan's pearl had better not be taken by this wild lad. The banquet lasted until the afternoon. Luli said his goodbyes and left, while Ivory quietly sent out a message. Xiang Linglong and Death God Lu were just ordinary friends. She told outsiders not to spread any rumors, or the Xiang family would definitely pursue the matter. White Fang had sent a messenger to clear Xiang Linglong's name. The rumors that had spread earlier had damaged Xiang Linglong's reputation. Xiang family's pearl. In fact, the Xiang family very much wants to form a marriage alliance with the Qi family. Marrying Xiang Linglong to Qi Tianyu is a good thing for the Xiang family's Linglong. Qi Tianyu never showed up. Luli was a bit relieved, and so were the Qi family warriors. It seemed that Qi Tianyu was not that stupid after all. His temperament had improved. After Luli went back, he asked Lu Wenxian to find Qi Dingdong and ask him when the interspatial portal could be opened to teleport to the Ziyang land. Qi Dingdong went to make the arrangements and came back soon. In 10 days, the interspatial portal could be opened and teleported to the Ziyang land directly. The destination was still near the ice valley where Lu Li first ascended. Lu Li was relieved. Even though he had some enemies in the frozen valley, it was not a problem for him to deal with them with his current strength. Lu Li waited patiently. The city was safe. Nobody dared to lay a finger on him as long as he didn't go out. He had admitted defeat. Who dared to use force in the city? It was rare for so many young masters and young ladies to gather in the city. The city was quite lively. Many young masters and young ladies took turns to invite Lu Li. It was a rare opportunity for young masters and young ladies of the Frigid Sea area to have a stage to socialize. Later on, many people invited Lu Li to banquets, but he didn't go even once. What to do there? Let a group of people take turns to humiliate him? He had tasted all the delicacies in the Frigid Sea area. There was no need for him to join the fun. Soon, 9 days had passed. Lu Li was going to leave the next day. The Qi family prepared a farewell banquet for Lu Li. Exquisite, White Fang and the others all came to bid farewell to Lu Li. This time, Lu Li had to attend. After all, he was the star of the show, and it was a banquet held for him by the Qi family. There weren't many patriarchs here. They were all young ones, including Mo Xiaotian. Everyone knew that Lu Li was leaving, so they didn't mock or ridicule him at the banquet, especially when they knew that Lu Li was at the Ziyang land. It was hard to say when he could come back. Since Qi Tianyu, White Fang, and the other young masters were here, some young ladies in the hall were very active. The presence of these socialite young ladies made the atmosphere of the banquet lively and joyful. The banquet went on until midnight. When Lu Li was about to leave, several people came in and stood behind the young masters. Judging from their solemn expressions, something big must have happened. What? Qi Tianyu shouted. He was overjoyed, which caught the attention of many young masters and young ladies. When White Fang received the report, he became extremely excited. Lu Li's curiosity was piqued. He asked Xiang Linglong, "What is it?" Xiang Linglong thought about it and decided to tell the truth. She replied, "The Heaven Path realm suddenly opened just now. It is a primitive secret area, a strange one at that. The opening and closing are not under the control of the four forces, and the opening time is not fixed. But every time it opens, only 100 people can go in for 3 years. Primitive secret area?" Lu Li's eyes glowed. He had never been to a primitive secret area. But since it was a primitive secret area in the Frigid Sea and only 100 people could go in, it wouldn't be his turn. Lu Li didn't overthink it. Heaven Path Realm? Right at that moment, Lu Li heard a message in his mind. It was from the Blood Evil King. "Punk, try to get a place. The Heaven Path Realm is a place that ancestor Tao Heaven once refined. There are marks of Taoism he left in there. I once went in and learned a lot. Your realm is too low. You may be able to gain more if you go in." Lu Li was hesitating. The Qi family had already sent him to the Ziyang land for free. If he asked for a place, the Qi family would think he was being insatiable. Since the Xiang family had already paid him, it would be harder for him to ask for a place. Seeing that Lu Li was hesitating, the Blood Evil King said again, "Ancestor Tao Heaven is a saint emperor skilled in soul attacks. If you can learn something from the Heaven Path realm, It will be of great help to you. Also, I know some places where there are top-level elixirs. This time, Lu Li was tempted. His strongest skill was soul attacks. If he could improve his soul attacks, then his abilities would be enhanced. And the top-level elixirs. The elixirs mentioned by the Blood Evil King must be of the highest level. I will try. Chapter 2577. Qi Tianyu and the others left hurriedly. Xiang Baiya and the other young masters and young mistresses also left. The opening of the Heaven Dao realm was such a big event. How could they still be in a mood to sit around? Qi Ding Dong didn't leave, but came over apologetically. Young Master Lu, something happened, so the banquet had to end early. But rest assured, young Master Lu, the spatial gate will still open tomorrow, and I will personally send you through it. No. Lu Li shook his head and said with embarrassment, Lady Ding Dong, I have a presumptuous request. Can you postpone the teleportation and give me another place to go to the Heaven Dao universe? This, Qi Ding Dong's expression became unnatural. She had never expected that Lu Li would want to enter the Dao Heaven realm. She pondered for a while and said, Young Master Lu, delaying the opening of the domain gate is not a problem. It's just that entering the Dao Heaven realm is a little difficult, because this matter isn't something that our Qi clan can decide. Previously, when we entered the Dao Heaven realm, our Qi clan only had 20 slots. Of course, young Master Lu, you don't have to worry. I'll ask Grandpa about this and do my best. All right then, thank you, Miss Ding Dong. Lu Li bowed to express his gratitude and said, I will be grateful no matter what. After entering, I won't act recklessly. I'm just entering to see if there's a chance to comprehend and improve myself. I definitely won't clash with anyone else. All right. Qi Ding Dong nodded to Lu Li. She asked a servant to take Lu Li back while she hurried off to find Second Patriarch. Lu Li brought Lord Lu back to the manor. Lu Wenxian asked at once, Young Master, you want to go to the Heaven Path universe? There are so many young masters and young mistresses entering the Frigid Sea region this time. I'm afraid there will be trouble when the time comes. Many young masters were prejudiced against Lu Li. They did not mind that Lu Li was going to leave soon. However, Lu Li was going to the Heaven Path universe with a group of young masters and young ladies. At that time, Exquisite Long would definitely go in, and if a group of young masters were jealous of her and secretly attacked him, then things would be terrible. At most, they could only fight for one spot. Lord Lu was definitely not qualified. If Lu Li went in alone, who could stop Qi Tianyu if he wanted to kill Lu Li? Those who entered this kind of mystic realm were usually young people. If there were older people, they might be able to suppress the group of young people. Without the older generation, the younger generation would act without scruples. Lu Li had no background, so he would have died for nothing. It's all right. Lu Li waved his hand with a smile and said, I have ways to protect myself. Qi Tianyu cannot kill me yet. Lu Li didn't know how powerful the remnant soul of the Blood Evil Emperor was with him, but at least it should be easy for him to kill Qi Tianyu. As long as no Lord-class powerhouses entered, he would be invincible inside. Seeing that Lu Li was so sure, Lu Wenxian said nothing more. Whether they could go in or not was another matter. What if the Qi family refused to give Lu Li face? Lu Li could not take the initiative. He had to wait quietly. Time passed by bit. The next morning, there was still no news from Qi Ding Dong. Lu Li couldn't help but feel disappointed. It seemed like the Qi clan wasn't very particular. No matter what, he had saved the lives of so many people in the Qi clan, yet they weren't willing to give him a single spot. It was not that the Qi family was unscrupulous. As a matter of fact, Second Patriarch had every right to give Lu Li a spot. The Qi family could easily get 20 spots. If the Qi family could be more aggressive, they could even get 30 spots. Therefore, it was not a big deal to give Lu Li a spot. The problem was that Qi Tianyu and the others didn't like Lu Li. Every time they went to the Heaven Dao realm, it would be the younger generation. This time would not be an exception. What if Qi Tianyu acted rashly without a patriarch in command? This time, Xiang Linglong would definitely go in. She was close to Lu Li. Qi Tianyu and the others would inevitably be jealous. What if a fight broke out and Lu Li died in there? Second Patriarch didn't care whether Lu Li died or not. What he was worried about was that people would say that the Qi family was biting the hand that fed them, which would be detrimental to the Qi family's reputation. Grandpa, Qi Ding Dong was getting impatient seeing that Second Patriarch didn't say anything. What's wrong with giving him a spot? He saved your granddaughter's life. Is my life not worth a spot? It's not about that. Second Patriarch patted Qi Ding Dong's head and said, I am worried that something will go wrong after he goes in. It will be troublesome if he dies in there. Don't worry. Qi Ding Dong patted his chest and said, I will keep an eye on him. Who dares to kill him when I am here? Also, he is not a man who likes to stir up trouble. He was forced into a corner, but he didn't accept the challenge. You know that. Okay. Second Patriarch thought about it and said, Take my token. If your brother Tianyu wants to act rashly, you take it out and stop him. As long as Lu Li doesn't act rashly, you must not touch him. At the very least, he cannot die in the hands of the Qi family. Do you understand? I understand. Thank you, Grandpa. Qi Ding Dong smiled from ear to ear. Second Patriarch waved his hand and said, Don't tell me too soon. I have to warn you, do not get too close to this guy. There are too many uncertainties about him. He is not a good son-in-law for you. What are you talking about, Grandpa? Qi Ding Dong blushed. She stomped her feet and said, I don't want to talk to you anymore. You are so shameless. You are making fun of your own granddaughter. Qi Ding Dong ran away and sent the news to Lu Li. Lu Li was cheered up. Qi Ding Dong also told Lu Li that in 5 days, the Qi family would set off, and so would the other families. They would all gather at the entrance of the Heaven Path realm. The entrance was on an island which had been under the control of the Qi family. Outsiders could not get in. The Qi family only had one spot. Naturally, Lord Lu could not go with them. Lu Li and Lord Lu talked for a while. Lord Lu said that he would go back to his family after Lu Li left and would wait for Lu Li outside the island in 3 years. 5 days later, Qi Ding Dong showed Lu Li to a castle. More than a dozen people had gathered outside the castle. Qi Tianyu was standing in the first row. When they saw Lu Li, they were all shocked. Qi Tianyu's expression turned gloomy. He asked Qi Ding Dong, what is going on? Nothing. Qi Ding Dong said with a grin, Grandpa let him in. If you're not happy about it, go and ask my grandpa. Qi Tianyu and the others were even more gloomy. Since it was Second Patriarch's order, then there was no turning back. They were disgusted. They didn't care about what happened to Lu Li before. Now, they were burning with anger. The exit of the Heaven Path realm had appeared many times. For people at the Frigid Sea area, this was a treasured land that belonged to them. No outsider could touch it. Lu Li was an outsider. They already hated him. Now he was allowed to go to the Heaven Path realm. It was like Ling Long. A woman at the Frigid Sea area that belonged to them was taken away by an outsider. This was more disgusting than eating a fly. Chapter 2578. The Dao Heaven Realm was famous at the Frigid Sea area because many people had benefited from it. Even the Reincarnation Emperor gained a lot from it. Even though he did not reach the Emperor realm in the Dao Heaven Realm, he said he had gained a lot from it. Therefore, every time the Dao Heaven Realm was opened, the Frigid Sea area would be in an uproar. Every time, the families would send their best disciples in so they could grow and become stronger. The Qi family could have occupied the Dao Heaven Realm. After all, the Qi family was the uncrowned king of the Frigid Sea area. However, the Reincarnation Heavenly Emperor had spoken. The Dao Heaven Realm was a secret realm refined by a senior expert. If they forcibly occupied it, it would be disrespectful to this senior expert. Also, the Reincarnation Emperor said that only 20 people from the Qi family could go in each time. The rest would be given to the families at the Frigid Sea area. To the Reincarnation Emperor, the Qi family was not the only family. The Frigid Sea area was also a big family. During many conflicts between the Frigid Sea area and the Flying Fire continent, the Reincarnation Emperor was always at the forefront. The more he fought, the braver he became, and the more powerful he became. The Frigid Sea area was not strong and had been suppressed by the Flying Fire Continent. However, under the leadership of the Reincarnation Emperor, the Flying Fire Continent won several battles and became an equal. The Reincarnation Emperor showed his talents in the battles and became one of the 3 most powerful emperors in the third heaven. Now, the Flying Fire Continent would not dare to behave atrociously at the Frigid Sea area even if they were 100 times bolder. Everyone at the Frigid Sea area was grateful. There was more than one emperor in the Frigid Sea area, but to them, there was only one king, the Reincarnation Emperor. The leader was a patriarch of the Qi family at the peak of the 5th tribulation. But the place they were going to was guarded by powerful warriors of the Qi family. It didn't matter whether the patriarch led the team or not. The patriarch clearly knew about Lu Li. He glanced over the team coldly and said, "I shouldn't say this, but I still want to emphasize this. The 20 of you must cooperate with each other, unite and love each other. Do not get into conflict with others or kill each other unless there is a special reason. Otherwise, the family rules will not forgive you." The patriarch paused and said to Lu Li, "God of Massacre Lu is our honored guest and our benefactor. You must take care of him and help him. Do you understand?" Although Qi Tianyu and the others were very unhappy, they still said in a deep voice, "Got it. Depart." The elder waved his hand, and everyone followed the elder into the castle. There was a space gate there. This was the first time Lu Li had seen a portal. It was a colorful gate with nothing on the other side. It seemed to lead to a magical world. Everyone stepped into the colorful door. A white light flashed, and everyone appeared on a small island. There were already many people gathered here, and there were also many people watching from outside the island. The arrival of the Qi family naturally caught many people's attention. When those people noticed Lu Li, they all felt there was something strange about him. Slaughter God Lu? Xiang Linglong was the first to cry out in alarm. She walked over in surprise and asked, "Why are you here?" Lu Li said with a smile, "I'm just here to broaden my horizons. Country bumpkins have never been to a real treasure land." Xiang Linglong rolled her eyes. She looked at Qi Tianyu and the others with a cute and naive look on her face. Many people were burning with jealousy. Since when did the famous icy beauty of the Frigid Sea show such an expression to a man? Xiang Linglong noticed the stares as well. She walked back with a straight face and went back to the Xiang family's team. She lowered her head and looked down, giving people a feeling that she was guilty. The Ram family was here as well. There was another force called the Frigid Palace. Each of the 3 forces sent 20 people. The other 20 people were the descendants of some major forces and some old demons. There were 100 people in total. Among the 100 people, there were more than 80 men and only 15 women. Actually, among these 15 women, many of them were not outstanding. They were just there to socialize. Their purpose was to hook up with some outstanding young masters, and Qi Tianyu was their first target. Unfortunately, Qi Tianyu's eyes were always on Xiang Linglong. Maybe it was because the more he could not have, the more attractive he would be. The colder Xiang Linglong was to him, the more he wanted to conquer her. He was not interested in the young ladies that were always around him. Of course, Xiang Linglong was at the peak of the 5th tribulation. She was the most powerful of all the young ladies. It was said that she had the 7 tribulation physique of natural evil, which added a halo to her, making her more attractive. Many young masters looked at Lu Li with even more hostility. Many had scruples when they were in the city. Now that they were at the Heaven Dao universe, it would be a piece of cake to kill Lu Li. Would the Qi family do anything? Qi Tianyu would rather chop Lu Li into pieces. Many people laughed sinisterly. They looked at each other with killing intent. Lu Li could feel it, but he didn't care. The Blood Evil King was here. What was there to be afraid of? The patriarch of the Qi family guarding here began to give orders. Nothing more than to look for trouble in there. Whoever got the treasures or elixirs would be the owner of the fortune. They could not rob or kill each other. Otherwise, when they came out, they would report to their families and deal with them according to the family rules. There had been cases in history. Of course, more often than not, the Qi family would bully other families. There were also cases of other families killing each other. But nobody had ever bullied the Qi family. As the descendant of the reincarnation emperor, who would dare to hurt the Qi family unless they didn't want to stay in the frigid sea anymore? The patriarch also gave out some instructions. He mentioned that there were several places in the Heaven Tao universe that could not be visited. Otherwise, they would be responsible for their own lives. It was confirmed that those places could only be visited by lords. The patriarch handed out many maps with markings on them, indicating which places could be visited and which ones could not. Luli took a look. The Heaven Tao universe was not a small place. There were at least more than a dozen marked places. Some had marks of Taoism, and some had elixirs. The information was clearly stated. Luli noticed that the patriarch didn't mention anything about destroying the things inside. Wasn't he afraid that those who went in would destroy the marks of Taoism? When Luli sent a message to Qi Ding Dong answered, "This world was refined by Tao Heaven Saint Emperor. There are many powerful runes in here. Not even a lord can destroy it, let alone us. Many places are dangerous because of the powerful patterns. If you're not powerful enough, you will die easily." Young Master Lu, Qi Ding Dong thought about it and said, "When we go in, just follow me. Don't think about those elixirs. Let them fight for them. We will go and study the marks of Taoism. If we can learn some, we can benefit for the rest of our lives." Okay. Chapter 2579. The entrance to the Heaven Path realm was in a huge underground cave. The cave was glowing in 7 colors. Lu Li and the 100 warriors rushed in. They felt the world was spinning and they felt dizzy. After a long time, Lu Li felt he had landed on the ground. Next to him was a soft body. He felt his arm touch something soft. Out of instinct, he moved his arm and touched it. Soon, he came back to his senses. He pulled his arm back and his eyes became clear again. He looked over, only to see a pair of beautiful eyes filled with shame and anger. Xiang Linglong was right next to him, but when she saw it was Lu Li, the anger in her eyes faded away. She knew Lu Li didn't do it on purpose. He must have bumped into her accidentally. Whoosh! Her body flew backwards because there were still people descending from above. At that time, she was afraid that she would be taken advantage of again. Lu Li scratched his head in embarrassment and stepped to the side. He moved closer to Xiang Linglong and said in a low voice, "I am sorry. I didn't mean it." Xiang Linglong lowered her head, blushing. She nodded and said, "I know. Otherwise, do you think you can still stand here safely?" "What do you mean by that?" A fragrant breeze blew over, and Qi Ding Dong flew over. She saw Xiang Linglong blushing and looked at the two meaningfully. "What happened between you just now? God of Massacre, did you flirt with my Linglong again?" Qi Ding Dong's voice was loud. Many people had recovered and heard her. They looked over and saw Xiang Linglong blushing and Lu Li standing on the side, embarrassed. Many people were enraged. They had been trying to flirt with Xiang Linglong, but they didn't dare to, and they couldn't. Now, Lu Li had flirted with her again and again. She was their goddess. Many people would be happy for days just by talking to her. They had never seen exquisite so bashful. If Lu Li were Qi Tianyu, nobody would be dissatisfied. But Lu Li was at the initial stage of the fourth tribulation and an outsider. Although Lu Li was rumored to be magical and powerful in that small world, seeing was believing. Everyone was proud and arrogant, and no one would be convinced. Let's go. Qi Ding Dong also felt that something was wrong. Many of the people around him had a faint red glow in their eyes. They looked like wild beasts that were about to devour someone. She hurried Lu Li and Xiang Linglong to leave. After all, Lu Li and Xiang Linglong would be fighting for the elixirs first. She and Xiang Linglong could focus on the Taoist marks. Qi Ding Dong sent a voice transmission to Xiang Linglong, who nodded slightly. She waved her hand and said, "Let's go." The people of Xiang clan were not worried about Xiang Linglong, mainly because Xiang Linglong was at the peak of fifth tribulation and had a sovereign weapon. Apart from Qi Tianyu, no one here could kill him. Initially, White Fang didn't want Exquisite Elephant to leave with Lu Li. However, given the current situation, White Fang was afraid that something might go wrong. Therefore, he asked Exquisite Elephant and Lu Li to leave first. Xiao, Qi Ding Dong, Xiang Ling Long, and Lu Li rushed toward the south. Qi Tianyu, Mo, Xiao Tian, and the most powerful young master of the Gongyang family, Gongyang Wuxia, were burning with anger. But they didn't have the time to worry about Lu Li. They had to make every second count. There were elixirs in 4 different places. Whoever went there first could get the elixirs. The Xian Qi in this world is so rich. While flying with the 2 beauties, Lu Li tried to sense the Xian Qi in this world. The Xian Qi here was richer than any other place he had been to. It must be more than 10,000 times richer than the outside world. Of course, why else would it be called the primitive mystery realm? Qi Ding Dong twitched her nose and said, "This is the best secret realm in the world. Not only is the Xian Qi in heaven and earth rich here, but it is also closer to nature. It is easier to learn the fundamental principle of formations here. Also, in this world, souls will slowly grow, but not at a particularly fast rate." "Is that so?" Lu Li was surprised. He checked carefully and found that his soul was growing. This primitive mystery realm was miraculous. He looked around and noticed that the plants here were thriving. Even some wild fruits looked like fruits of God. Lu Li used the trace of Tao to sense and found some birds and beasts in the forest. Maybe they were just passing by. Those birds and beasts ran away in fear. But Lu Li was amazed by the speed of those birds and beasts. A small beast flew away in a blur. It was as fast as a warrior of the 5th tribulation. The other birds were as fast as warriors of the peak of the 4th tribulation. "Don't be surprised," Qi Ding Dong said with a smile. "The Xian Qi here is so rich that all the flowers, birds, fishes, and insects have become spirits. They are not powerful, but they all have their own skills. There used to be some powerful beasts here, but they were all killed. The ones left here are not lethal." Lu Li nodded and asked, "Lady Ding Dong, have you been here before?" Qi Ding Dong looked at Xiang Ling Long and said, "Ling Long and I have been here once, and we have learned a lot. We are familiar with this place." The 3 of them flew toward the south. Lu Li took a look at the map. Clearly, they were going to the Valley of Tao Inquiry. The map indicated that there were marks of Tao here. Lu Li secretly sent a message to Blood Emperor. "Evil Emperor, what is the secret of the Valley of Tao Inquiry?" "There are 5 marks of Tao Inquiry." Blood Fiend Emperor said, "The 5 knife marks were left by Tao Heaven Patriarch. 3 of them record 3 secret skills. One of them is a soul secret skill. If you can comprehend the other 2, you can comprehend 2 powerful true meanings." "This is a good place," Lu Li exclaimed. This place was more miraculous than regular primitive mystery realms. Primitive mystery realms only had some natural traces of Tao. But here, there were cultivation marks left by a powerful warrior. The Valley of Tao Inquiry was spacious. The 3 of them were fast. They hadn't arrived at the Valley of Tao Inquiry after flying for 2 days. Today, the 3 of them flew over a lake. Qi Ding Dong went around it from a distance. Seeing that Lu Li was confused, Xiang Linglong explained, "This lake is not marked on the map. There is something strange about it. There are runes in the lake. It is better to stay away from it." Last time what?" Lu Li asked with curiosity. Xiang Linglong blushed. She looked at Qi Ding Dong and said, "Nothing. Let's not talk about it. Just stay away from it." "Ha!" Qi Ding Dong stuck his tongue out and said with a grin, "Last time when I was bathing here, I almost got into trouble. You talk too much." Xiang Linglong was both embarrassed and angry. She flew over to chase after Qi Ding Dong. Qi Ding Dong sped up, leaving behind a tinkling laugh. The 2 flew back and forth like 2 butterflies, their graceful figures gliding through the air in beautiful arcs. It was as if 2 fairies were playing with each other. There is something wrong with this lake. Chapter 2580. For the first time since Lu Li arrived at the Valley of Tao Seeking, the mysteriousness and strangeness of the Heaven Path universe was revealed. The Valley of Tao Seeking was not large. The scenery was no different from other valleys. Trees, streams, ponds, and cabins. This was an average valley. There was nothing strange about it. However, when Luli went in, he sensed that every blade of grass, every flower, every leaf, and even every stone block was unusual. It was as if the entire valley was filled with a strange rhythm of Tao. It was as if this was a Buddhist hall. Luli could sense Zen in every corner. Luli, just wander around. Don't worry about damaging the scenery. You cannot damage anything here. Everything is protected by powerful patterns. Xiang Linglong said. Then, she went to the pond by herself. Luli had only been here for 3 years. Every minute and second was precious and must not be wasted. Chi Ding Dong and Luli nodded and walked to a wall. Luli took a look. He seemed to see some murals on the wall. Blood Fairy. Luli let Blood Fairy out and told her to go underground. He said, a super warrior has set up many powerful patterns here. You can study them carefully, but you cannot change the patterns or trigger them. Otherwise, you will cause a disaster. Dao Seeking was a saint emperor. The patterns he set up must be unimaginably powerful. Blood Fairy's understanding of the patterns was not good enough for her. Master, I know what to do. I will not do anything rash. Blood Fairy transmitted her voice over, her tone filled with joy and excitement. To her, as long as she could comprehend powerful divine inscriptions, it would be the happiest thing in the world. Luli left Blood Fairy alone. He wandered around in the valley. He released the trace of Tao to sense everything around him. After releasing the trace of Tao, Luli could feel it more clearly. This place was filled with the presence of Tao. Every blade of grass and every blade of grass seemed to be explaining the truth of heaven and earth. Even the water of the river seemed to contain a powerful, profound meaning. Even the wind seemed to be emitting some kind of Tao rhythm. What a marvelous place! Luli exclaimed. He immersed himself in this place. He felt he was wandering in a mysterious and comfortable ocean. Before he knew it, he could lose himself in it. Do you have some understanding of the Saint Emperor's strength now? At this moment, the Blood Fiend Sovereign suddenly transmitted his voice. This is just a place where the Holy Emperor lives in seclusion. Because he has been in seclusion for many years, the heaven and earth and the scenery here have naturally changed a little. Some of the profound meanings and great Tao that he has comprehended are left everywhere. Everything here was not deliberately left behind by him. If he had deliberately left behind some Tao runes, I don't think you would have been able to comprehend it. Once you try to comprehend it, your soul would not be able to bear it and would collapse. It is indeed unimaginably powerful. Luli nodded. He was cultivating by himself, but the scenery around him was changing quietly because of him. The marks of Taoism left behind could benefit many people. This Saint Emperor's power was beyond Li's imagination. The Blood Evil King said no more. Luli walked slowly in the valley by himself. He walked to the cabin. The moment he entered the cabin, he felt he was in a trance. He seemed to see a blurry figure cultivating in the cabin. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, Luli walked through the cabin to the backyard. Again, he was in a trance. He seemed to see a blurry figure drinking tea in the backyard. When he walked out of the backyard and came to the river, he felt he saw a blurry figure fishing by the river. He walked to the stone wall in the valley. There were some scratches on the wall. They seemed to be messy and disorderly, but each stroke could stir one's soul and make one's imagination run wild. Chi Ding Dong was standing there. She had lost herself completely. She didn't even notice that Luli had come to her. Luli stood there for a while and didn't disturb her. He continued to wander around in the valley. He walked to a pavilion which was old with traces of weathering. On the stone table in the pavilion was a teacup. Luli tried to pick up the teacup only to realize that he could not move it. Luli walked to the pond. Xiang Linglong was sitting by the pond by herself. Luli could see ripples in the pond every now and then. The lotus leaves on the pond were still swaying. He could sense a distinct Taoist rhythm everywhere. Xiang Linglong was in closed-door cultivation as well. Luli left after a while. Eventually, he chose to go to the backyard of the cabin because the Blood Evil King said that the skill of soul was in the backyard. There was a huge tree with unknown names in the backyard. Luli couldn't tell how old the tree was. The tree had deep roots, and the trunk would require dozens of people to wrap their arms around it. The branches and leaves blotted out the sky and covered the earth. The backyard was quiet. It had been many years since the death of the Tao Heaven ancestor, but the backyard was not overgrown with weeds. Instead, it was clean as if someone had been cleaning it up. Luli stood in front of Stump. Next to the stump were two wooden stools. On the stump was a chessboard with scattered pieces on it. This was the place where the Blood Evil King said the skill of soul was. The Blood Evil King didn't make it clear. Luli had to figure it out on his own. The Blood Evil King spent some time studying the skill, but didn't gain much. Therefore, he couldn't give Luli any guidance. Luli had to explore on his own. Luli fixed his eyes on the chessboard. The more than 100 black and white chess pieces seemed to be placed randomly and messily. But Luli could tell that there was a powerful and mysterious Taoist rhythm in them. Luli didn't move the chess pieces. He couldn't even if he wanted to. He just stood there quietly and observed the distribution of the chess pieces. He stood there for 3 days and 3 nights. Finally, he stopped. He sat on the ground with his legs crossed and began to study. He had already memorized all the chess pieces on the chessboard, and even the surrounding scenery and decorations. He used the trace of Taoist law to sense everything around him. His mind was spinning fast. He began to study the chessboard and the chess pieces to see if he could learn something from them. It was quiet in the valley. Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong were completely immersed in their cultivation. The three of them had forgotten everything else and were focused on what they wanted to learn. Time flew by while they were cultivating. Soon, 1.5 months had passed. The peace was broken today. A team arrived at the Dao in Quarry Valley. Clearly, the fight for the elixir had come to an end. Those who came in were here to study the trace of Taoist law. Luli was alerted at once. He checked with psychic power and was relieved. There were more than 30 of them. Chi Tianyu and White Fan didn't come. Instead, warriors of the Gong family, the Cold Water Palace, some grandsons of the old warriors, and Mo Xiaotian were here. Mo Xiaotian flew to Xiang Linglong at once. Xiang Linglong ignored him and continued to study. Mo Xiaotian didn't say anything either. He just sat next to her quietly. Someone walked into the cabin. He must be a descendant of an old demon. He walked to the backyard, glanced at Luli, and said with a cold snort, "Get out. You think this is a place where you can come?" Chapter 2581. Luli had seen this many times, so he didn't mind. This man was only a warrior of the fifth tribulation, and Luli could kill him with a slap. He was not here to make trouble. He was here to cultivate. This kind of opportunity was hard to come by. Once things got out of hand, it wouldn't do him any good. If he got into a conflict with Qi Tianyu and the others, then it would be pointless for him to come here. Therefore, after some thoughts, Luli scanned with psychic power and said to Qi Dingdong, "Lady Dingdong, I need to trouble you. Someone is looking for trouble." Qi Dingdong was alarmed. As soon as Luli sent his message, she used psychic power to check. She was annoyed. It was a rare opportunity to come here. The Qi family had given up so many places, but this group of people didn't cherish the chance. They were looking for trouble. She rushed over, looked at the young man in front of Luli coldly, and said, "Zhao Chong, if you don't want to study, leave. Don't disturb others." Ha. Zhao Chong cupped his fists and said with a smile, "Lady Dingdong, what are you talking about? Of course, we are here to cultivate. But this punk is an eyesore. I want him to go somewhere else to cultivate. He has been studying here for a while now. This is not his home. He can't be the only one here." Luli touched his nose in embarrassment, but said nothing. Qi Dingdong was fuming with anger. She said, "Is this a small place? How is Luli's cultivation a hindrance to you? You can have more than a dozen people sitting here to study together. You're just being unreasonable." Qi Dingdong was angry, but Zhao Chong didn't seem to be afraid of her. Qi Dingdong was not the most powerful young lady of the Qi family, and she was not the most powerful, but she was a young lady of the Qi family. There could only be 2 explanations for Zhao Chong to be so unscrupulous. Either Zhao Chong's family was powerful and he was not afraid of the Qi family, or at least not afraid of offending second patriarch. The other explanation was that Zhao Chong had someone behind him, and that person was a senior member of the Qi family. Qi Ding Dong was familiar with Zhao Chong's forefather. Given the Zhao family's power, they wouldn't dare to offend her. Therefore, the only explanation was that Qi Tianyu was instructing Zhao Chong to do this. Qi Tianyu was a rare talent. He had been regarded as a genius since he was young and was loved by the family. In addition, the Qi family was a nameless king in the Cold Wave Sea region. If the Cold Wave Sea region was a kingdom, Qi Tianyu would be the crown prince. Ever since he was a kid, Qi Tianyu had never had a bad life. Nobody dared to provoke him, and nobody could make him unhappy. Lu Li was the only one who could make him unhappy and even make him want to kill Lu Li. In the Space City, Qi Tianyu did not dare to make a move. Now that he was in the Dao Heaven realm, there was no elder here. Hence, there was no one who could suppress Qi Tianyu. What was more, killing Lu Li wouldn't make any difference because Lu Li didn't have a force behind him. Qi Ding Dong also understood this point. Her eyes flickered for a moment before she transmitted a message to Zhao Chong. Zhao Chong, don't be used by others. It won't do you any good. My grandfather said that God of Death, Lu must not die. Do you understand? Zhao Chong's face darkened. After a moment of silence, he transmitted his voice. Miss Ding Dong, I don't understand what you're saying. I just don't like killing God, Lu, and I don't want to have a conflict with you. Please don't stop me. Besides, there are so many people who don't like him. How many can you stop? With that said, Zhao Chong stared at Lu Li and said, Are you a man or not? Do you only have the guts to stand behind women? You good for nothing. Phew. Lu Li exhaled. He was a bit annoyed. These people were like flies that he couldn't get rid of. He knew very well that they were sent by Qi Tianyu. They must be the vanguard. If he had to rely on Qi Ding Dong all the time, he wouldn't be able to protect himself. If he wanted to cultivate in peace, he would have to make an example out of her. Many people nearby were checking with psychic power, which meant that these people were paying attention. Lu Li thought about it and said, How do you want to play? One-on-one or gang up? Gang up? Gang up? Zhao Chong sneered and said, Let's go outside and fight. I will let you have 3 moves first. How about that? If you lose, you can go wherever I am. If you win, I will stay away from you in the future. Ha ha ha. Lu Li laughed. He waved his hand and said, Do you need to go outside to deal with someone like you? Let's fight here. Be careful. I am going to attack. A soft sword appeared in Lu Li's hand. With that said, he swung the soft sword at Zhao Chong and an invisible sword wave spread out. Out of instinct, Zhao Chong wanted to step back, but the invisible sword wave was too fast. As soon as it spread out, Zhao Chong was hit. Zhao Chong was only at the initial stage of the 5th tribulation, and he was not important in his family. The frigid sea was safe. Therefore, he only had a 6th rank enchanted soul in his soul. Naturally, he was hit. He was only stunned for the time, for 1 breath. Soon, he hugged his head and rolled on the ground. Everyone in the valley had been checking on Lu Li, so they all saw what was happening. All they saw was Lu Li waving his soft sword and Zhao Chong rolling on the ground. They were all shocked. You are asking for humiliation. Xiang Linglong sneered. She wasn't sure about Lu Li's abilities, but she did know that average 5th tribulation heaven immortals were no match for him. Apart from Qi Tianyu and Elephant White Fang, the others were no match for him. It was quiet in the valley, but Zhao Chong's miserable cries became ear-piercing. Lu Li was sitting leisurely. Compared to Zhao Chong's miserable state, it was quite a visual contrast. Lu Li looked at Zhao Chong coldly without changing his expressions. After a while, he waved his hand. Zhao Chong stopped screaming and fell to the ground like a maggot. Lu Li said in a deep voice, You have lost. Do you admit defeat? Admit defeat, my *SS, Zhao Chong shouted ferociously. He rushed up like a sharp sword. A dagger appeared in his hand, and he stabbed at Lu Li's face. Lu Li didn't move, but he used the dragon wrestling skill and the heaven armor skill to defend himself. Bang! The dagger landed on Lu Li's face. Qi Ding Dong's entire body tensed up. She opened her mouth, wanted to warn Lu Li to be careful. But seeing how calm Lu Li was, she swallowed her words. Bang! The dagger landed on Lu Li's face. After a muffled sound, Lu Li was unharmed. Lu Li moved as fast as lightning, and his fist landed on Zhao Chong's face. Zhao Chong was smashed away into midair as if he was hit by a mountain. Whoosh! Lu Li flew up and waved the soft sword in his hand. Once again, Zhao Chong was hit. He held his head and rolled around. Lu Li grabbed Zhao Chong's neck and said in a cold voice, "You dare to come out and make a fool of yourself? Piss off." Lu Li waved his arm, and Zhao Chong was smashed out of the valley of Dao Seeking. Lu Li didn't come down. He stood in midair, looked down, and said, "I know many of you don't like me. Since you're going to come after me sooner or later, I might as well finish you all at once. Anyone who wants to mess with me, come up here." Chapter 2582. Lu Li had always been a coward in people's minds. He didn't even have the courage to accept a fight when he was cornered to that extent at the spatial city. He didn't even have the courage to say more than a few words. Now, he suddenly showed off his abilities and was extremely arrogant and domineering. The reversal of his image was hard for people to accept. Even Qi Dingdong's mouth was slightly agape in shock. Only Xiang Linglong's expressions didn't change. She had met Lu Li before, and she knew that he was a man with shocking audacity and possessed special skills. Zhao Chong was not a big deal. He was at the bottom of all the young masters here. That being said, Zhao Chong had no chance to fight back against Lu Li and was defeated easily. If Lu Li wanted to kill someone, Zhao Chong would be a dead man by now. They were not on the same level. Many people were more powerful than Zhao Chong, but who dared to come out? Linglong, Qi Dingdong, and so many others were here. If they were thrown out of the valley by Lu Li like a dead dog like Zhao Chong, it would be a great disgrace. Everyone looked to the most powerful young master of the Gong family, Gong Yang Wuxia, Shui Yuhen of the Cold Water Palace, Missouri Xiaotian, and some other top young masters, hoping that they could come out and subdue Lu Li. Gong Yang Wuxia didn't move, not because the Gong family was related to Lu Wenxian. If he were to make a move, he wouldn't be afraid of Lu Wenxian. It was because Lu Wenxian had surrendered to Lu Li, which alarmed Gong Yang Wuxia. Lu Wenxian was a powerful warrior who had been famous for many years. Nobody at the Frigid Sea could compete with him in divination. Nobody from the Cold Water Palace moved. Eventually, Mo Xiaotian did. He had challenged Lu Li once, but Lu Li didn't accept the challenge and admitted defeat. Now that Lu Li was so arrogant and had the spirit to challenge all by himself, Mo Xiaotian, who had always looked down on Lu Li, couldn't sit still. Xiang Linglong was here, and Mo Xiaotian had pursued her for many years. How could he miss such a rare opportunity to show off? He had made up his mind that he would trample on Lu Li and show Xiang Linglong who was the real bad influence and the real coward. Whoosh! Mo Xiaotian flew up. A black iron rod appeared in his hand. He pointed at Lu Li and said, "Got a massacre? Don't be so arrogant. Do you think there is no one at the Frigid Sea? Today Mo Xiaotian, will fight you." All right. Lu Li wasted no time. He dashed over in a blur and punched at Mo Xiaotian. His body was strong, and Mo Xiaotian was only at the later stage of the fifth tribulation. Lu Li was not afraid. Just in time. Be my staff. Mo Xiaotian activated the black iron rod, and it immediately lit up with a black light. Black qi revolved around it, and a terrifying and oppressive aura circulated. It was obviously a strange treasure. Boom! Mo Xiaotian's iron rod landed on Lu Li's fist. Black flames burst out from the iron rod and enveloped Lu Li's fist. Although his iron rod was not a sovereign weapon, it was still a treasure refined by an expert for many years. He believed that no matter how strong Lu Li's body was, he could crush Lu Li's fist. He realized that he was wrong. Lu Li's fist bumped into his iron rod. A surge of force came through. He and Lu Li were both smashed away. He glanced over, only to see that Lu Li's fist was only a bit charred. Surprisingly, Lu Li was not hurt. Whoosh! Lu Li dashed over again. He moved like a flash of light. Unwilling to believe this, Mo Xiaotian smashed at Mo Xiaotian again and again. They bumped into each other in the sky and separated again and again. The horrifying energy spread out, causing ripples in the space around them. Boom, boom, boom. After some muffled noises, Lu Li and Mo Xiaotian had exchanged moves for hundreds of times. Neither could inflict any harm on the other. Mo Xiaotian took out a folding fan. He was taken aback. Lu Li's body was so strong that the iron rod would not be able to hurt Lu Li. His folding fan was not a toy, but a piece of treasure as well. There were 12 poison needles in the fan that could seal the throat upon contact with blood. As soon as the needles entered Lu Li's body, he would be poisoned immediately. By then, his divine energy would be disturbed and the situation would be under Mo Xiaotian's control. Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong were taken aback when they saw Mo Xiaotian taking out the folding fan. They knew how vicious the fan was. In the past, this fan had set up many people. That was why Qi Dingdong and Xiang Linglong had always looked down on Mo Xiaotian. They thought he was too cunning, but they didn't send any messages to Lu Li. They were fighting one-on-one, and they could use any means. It would be unfair and disrespectful to Lu Li to warn him. Lu Li noticed Mo Xiaotian's folding fan as well. He took out his soft sword as well and flew over. They attacked almost at the same time. Whoosh, whoosh. They clashed with each other. One of them waved his soft sword while the other opened his folding fan. 6 streaks of black light were shot at Lu Li from 6 different angles. Lu Li released his invisible sword waves as well. The billions of soul needles began to attack Mo Xiaotian. But the enchanted soul in Mo Xiaotian's soul was strong. He managed to stand it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lu Li had seen it coming, and he dodged it once. That being said, one of the streaks of black light still hit him. He had been careless. He had thought that his defense was strong and the needles could not hurt him. However, the poisonous needle still pierced through his skin. Streams of black energy immediately converged into his body and quickly spread out. It's poisonous. Lu Li pulled a long face. He didn't hold back anymore. He took out his horn and blew it. The sound of the horn was horrifying. As soon as it sounded, Mo Xiaotian began to roll around in pain. Ow! Even though Lu Li was in midair, many people on the ground were affected as well. But not so badly. Everyone was surprised. What kind of treasure was this? How could it be so powerful? Mo Xiaotian was rolling around with his head in his hands. Lu Li put away his horn and dashed over. He grabbed Mo Xiaotian's neck with one hand and punched at him with the other. Boom, 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 boom. Lu Li punched for dozens of times. Mo Xiaotian's soul was under attack, so he had no time to worry about that. His head was smashed beyond recognition, too horrible to look at. Lu Li knew when to stop. He didn't kill Mo Xiaotian, only injuring him. He wouldn't kill him unless it was absolutely necessary. Otherwise, he would be in trouble when he got out. Boom! He flung Mo Xiaotian out of the valley. He pulled out the poisonous needle, and since for a while, he was relieved to find that it was just a little chaotic. He pondered for a moment and looked at the dozens of people below. Who else? Chapter 2583. Actually, there were 2 others here who were stronger than Mo Xiaotian, but they said nothing after seeing how miserable Mo Xiaotian was. Lu Li was an outsider, and yet he was so arrogant. As someone from the frigid sea, they should stand up for him. However, the 2 of them didn't stand out in the end because they had no enmity with Lu Li and they didn't have too many thoughts about Exquisite. There were too many uncertainties about Lu Li. It was a miracle in itself that he could bring Qi Dingdong and the others out. They didn't think much of Lu Li's cowardice at the spatial city. But now that he had revealed his strength and defeated Mo Xiaotian easily at the early stage of the 4th tribulation, they were worried. Lu Li waited for a while. After making sure nobody else came up, he said in a deep voice, "I'm only here to study the fundamental principle of formations. I don't want to have any conflicts with you. You are in a hurry. I hope we can all live in peace. Also, when I get out, I will go to the Ziyang land immediately. Don't worry. Nothing will happen. Lu Li's words weren't very clear, but what he wanted to express was clear. He meant that he wouldn't pursue exquisite. He would leave as soon as he got out. He wouldn't have anything to do with exquisite. Many people were relieved. However, Linglong's pretty face turned gloomy. Lu Li's words made it sound as if he looked down on her and didn't care about her at all. Beautiful women were magical creatures. She would think it was natural for people to surround her. If someone wanted to get rid of her and avoid her like a snake or scorpion, she would be unhappy. She snorted and said, God of Massacre, Lu, don't think too highly of yourself. Ha ha ha. Lu Li laughed. He cupped his fists and bowed to exquisite. Then he flew down and went back to sitting in front of the chessboard with his eyes closed. Chi Ding Dong saw that many people were still looking at them with psychic power. He waved his hand and said, What are you waiting for? Do you have much time? It is not easy to come in. I will tell my grandpa to disqualify anyone who dares to make trouble next time. Chi Ding Dong flew back to the cliff angrily. The others didn't dare to make trouble anymore. They all found a place to study fundamental principle and runes. Soon, the valley quieted down. As for Zhao Chong and Mo Xiaotian, they were too ashamed to come in again. If he couldn't beat them, he would only be humiliating himself. Lu Li continued to study the soul skills contained in the chessboard. Since nobody was disturbing him, time flew by quickly. Soon, half a month had passed. Today, another group of people arrived, including Xiang Baiya and Qi Tianyu. Both the Qi and Xiang clans were present. Qi Tianyu said nothing after he came in. He didn't even use psychic power to check on Lu Li. He just threw Xiang Linglong a glance, and then went to a corner to study by himself. Mo Xiaotian and Zhao Chong didn't follow them in, and no one knew where they went. Xiang clan, Qi clan, and a few other Old Devil's descendants found their own places to cultivate. Lu Li noticed at once that there were two people coming in from Lu Li's side. He didn't open his eyes, but he felt bitter. This was because he sensed hostility. There was a hint of hostility and killing intent on the two of them. These two people were neither from the Qi family nor the Xiang family. They should be the young masters of two big families or the Old Devil's descendants. One of them was at the later stage of the Fifth Tribulation and the other at the middle stage of the Fifth Tribulation. They were strangers to Lu Li. The fact that they wanted to kill him must be because of Qi Tianyu. The two pretended not to see Lu Li after they came in. They were looking at the chessboard. One of them even pretended to get a piece. Lu Li suddenly opened his eyes when the man reached for the chess piece. The man's killing intent was soaring at this moment. Whoosh! Almost at the same time, the two took out their weapons. One of them took out a tripod and the other a saber. They attacked Lu Li from the left and the right. The saber was filled with killing intent. The saber must have been stained with blood. The killing intent was very strong. There was a red glow on the edge of the saber. Clearly, it was a piece of treasure. This person also used a killing move that seemed to be the fundamental principle of gold. The saber was powerful. The other person's tripod was a piece of treasure as well. There were runes glistening on it. White airstream came out from the mouth of the tripod, giving it a heavy feeling. Lu Li was enraged. The two used killing moves as soon as they arrived. Clearly, they were trying to kill him. Lu Li was a man who would grow stronger when he met a stronger opponent. If someone wanted to kill him, Lu Li wouldn't care. He released dragon wrestling and heaven armor at once. He took out a soft sword in one hand and a piece of relic metal in the other. He attacked the person with the saber with the soft sword while the relic metal was used to defend against the tripod. Boom! The relic metal and the tripod collided. With a muffled sound, a horrifying blast spread out, causing the divine patterns nearby to glare. If it were not for the fact that there were divine patterns here, the surrounding area would have been flattened. On the other side, the saber with horrifying strength didn't land on Lu Li. Lu Li's soul attack was earlier than that person's. That person's enchanted soul was not strong, so he was hit at once. Boy! Once again, Lu Li poured in the godly iron. Without any hesitation, he smashed the godly iron back. In an instant, the godly iron landed on the head of the warrior with the saber. A helmet appeared in the warrior's mind, but this helmet could not withstand Lu Li's attack and was shattered. Whoosh! The tripod flew over again. Lu Li paid no more attention to it. The relic metal glowed for the third time, and he was about to smash at the head of the man with the saber. The man's helmet was broken, and his head was cracked. If the relic metal were to be smashed, his head would be smashed. "Stop! Gotta massacre! Stop! How dare you?" Qi Tianyu and several others shouted. If they didn't shout, Lu Li might have shifted his direction and injured the man. But as soon as Qi Tianyu shouted, Lu Li was enraged. He swung the relic metal and smashed at the man's head. Bang! With a muffled sound, the man's head was crushed. Many people felt a bang in their hearts. Many people sensed with psychic power that the man's head was smashed. They couldn't believe that Lu Li had the guts to kill someone. Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong were taken aback. They saw with psychic power that Lu Li had killed someone. Without any hesitation, he took the hit from the tripod with his fist and then dashed toward another man like a mad dragon. Since Lu Li had released the dragon wrestling skill, his qi and blood were vigorous. On top of that, he had just killed a man neatly. He was full of vigor. At this moment, everyone felt that Lu Li was not a young man, but a murderous old devil. Buzzing, Lu Li approached that man quickly and waved his soft sword. That man's soul was stronger, but he was hit as well. He seemed to be in pain. Seeing the killing intent in Lu Li's eyes, that man shouted out of instinct, "Young Master Tianyu, help me." Chapter 2584. Lu Li was right. In addition to these two, Zhao Chong was also sent by Qi Tianyu to test Lu Li and infuriate him at the same time. Qi Tianyu was an arrogant man. Few young warriors in the Frigid Sea area dared to offend him. Lu Li was the only one that had humiliated him. Qi Tianyu regarded Xiang Linglong as his property, and he would not allow anyone to touch her. Many people believed that Xiang Linglong would marry Lu Li in the future. Therefore, for Xiang Linglong to stay in Lu Li's manor until midnight, Qi Tianyu felt that Lu Li had slapped him in the face. Lu Li was about to leave for the Ziyang land, so Qi Tianyu didn't worry about it anymore. Lu Li was courting death by going to the Heaven Path universe. Qi Tianyu was a man like him, and he would definitely seek revenge. What was more, Xiang Linglong was here as well. Qi Tianyu decided to teach Lu Li a lesson and let Xiang Linglong see how useless the man she liked was. Qi Tianyu didn't plan to do anything. He thought the few warriors he had were enough. After all, Lu Li had saved Qi Dingdong and the others. He was the benefactor of the Qi family. If Qi Tianyu killed Lu Li, it would be bad for his reputation. But now he had to show up. Lu Li killed one of his warriors. If he didn't show up after the other one was killed, his reputation would be ruined. He shouted, thinking that Lu Li would stop. However, Lu Li didn't pay any attention to him. After releasing the law of sound, Lu Li smashed at the warrior's head with the relic iron. Boom! That warrior was smashed away. His head was bleeding, but he was strong enough to survive. He was just badly injured. Courting death, Qi Tianyu flew into a rage. There were so many people watching, and Lu Li didn't pay any attention to him. Lu Li continued to kill him, which had enraged him. Qi Tianyu's eyes were filled with killing intent. A purple gold gourd appeared in his hand. The gourd was covered with runes and patterns. After it was activated, the gourd began to glow. Qi Tianyu flew the gourd toward Lu Li. Purple fire gourd. Qi Dingdong's expressions changed when he saw the gourd. He flew over at once, took out a token, and said, "Brother Tianyu, look at this. My grandpa said that we cannot kill Lu Li. This is an order." Qi Dingdong took out the token that the second elder had given him. This token represented the second elder's presence in the Qi clan, which was very intimidating. Qi Tianyu glanced at Qi Dingdong and ignored him, continuing to control the gourd. "Slaughter God Lu, watch out." Qi Dingdong was losing patience. He sent a message to Lu Li. "This purple fire gourd is a rare piece of treasure. It was refined by a progenitor of our race. There are horrifying purple flames in it. Move." Lu Li wanted to dodge, but he didn't have any concerns when he heard that it was flames. He flew over and continued to charge at that warrior, swinging the relic iron at him. Whoosh, whoosh, the purple gold gourd arrived behind Lu Li. It opened the gourd and spat out a stream of flames directly at Lu Li's back. After the flames appeared, the temperature of the entire Dao Querying Valley soared. Lu Li's robe was on fire, and so was the robe of the other man. But Qi Tianyu didn't care because Lu Li was about to smash him to death. Boom! The relic iron in Lu Li's hand landed on that warrior's head. His head exploded. At the same time, Lu Li was enveloped in flames. What? In addition to Qi Tianyu, everyone else was shocked. They had all heard of the purple fire gourd. The flames could burn a warrior of the fifth tribulation to death. However, apart from the fact that Lu Li's clothes were burned, not even his animal skin trousers were burned. His physical body was unharmed. Not even his skin was scorched. As a matter of fact, Lu Li's physical body was not as strong as this. It was mainly because his resistance to fire was too strong. He had been refining his body in flames all year round. During his time at the Blazing Island, his resistance to fire had been greatly improved. Now, he was immune to average flames. Whoosh! Lu Li flew up. Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong looked away. Lu Li took out a robe and put it on. He stood at the same level as Qi Tianyu. Staring at him coldly, Lu Li said, "Young Master Tianyu, what is the meaning of this? These two are trying to kill me. Why are you stopping me from killing them? Why are you attacking me? I owe the Qi family a favor, don't I? Are you going to bite the hand that feeds you?" Qi Tianyu's eyes were about to burst into flames. But since Lu Li was speaking in a righteous manner, Qi Tianyu could not do anything. He suppressed his anger and said, "These two are my friends. I know you don't like them. You can just teach them a lesson. Why do you have to kill them? I try to stop you, but you still insist on doing things your own way. Do you even have any respect for me?" "Ha ha ha." Lu Li laughed and said with mockery, "What do you mean by don't like them? I don't even know them. They attacked me directly and try to kill me. What would you have done if you were me? Would you have waited for death? This is how I am. I don't care who is trying to kill me. I will kill them all the same." Lu Li's momentum was at its peak. He was filled with killing intent. His words were sonorous and forceful. He was like a real god of slaughter. This also allowed Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong to see another side of him, causing their eyes to light up. Linglong and Qi Dingdong were used to dealing with some young masters. They were like flowers in a greenhouse. They were good-looking, but they had never been through hardships. They didn't have that kind of valiance. Lu Li was a warrior that rose from the grassroots. He didn't have the nobility of those young masters, but he had a unique temperament that made people's eyes light up. Qi Tianyu snorted and said with a gloomy expression, "I don't care. You killed these two, and you must pay the price. Otherwise, I cannot explain to their families. Now, I'll give you two choices. Either you surrender and wait for my family's elders to discuss with their families before you deal with them, or you can fight with me to the death." Qi Tianyu could only choose one of the two options. Nobody would choose the first option because their life and death would be in the hands of others. Even if Lu Li chose the first option, he would be disgraced, and Qi Tianyu would have achieved his goal. Linglong wouldn't like such a coward. Qi Tianyu had established his dominance. Qi Dingdong looked awful. Qi Tianyu didn't pay any attention to her. The token in her hand didn't exist. But she also knew that she could not argue with Qi Tianyu. Nothing she said would make sense. Qi Tianyu wouldn't listen. Linglong looked awful as well. She knew that Lu Li had suffered an undeserved disaster. Qi Tianyu was targeting Lu Li because of her. But she couldn't say anything now. Otherwise, it would be disrespectful to Lu Li. "Ha ha." Lu Li laughed. He looked at Qi Tianyu fearlessly and said, "I choose the second option. But don't worry. For the sake of Ding Dong, I will spare your life. Your family's patriarchs are very polite to me. I will show them some respect." How arrogant. Chapter 2585. Even though the Valley of Daos was protected by divine runes, Qi Tianyu didn't dare to make a move here. Destroying anything here would be a great loss to the frigid sea. There was a vast plain outside that was enough for them to fight. Lu Li flew out as well. Nobody was in the mood to cultivate anymore. They flew out as well. They didn't stay too close in case they might be accidentally injured. Qi Dingdong thought about it. Eventually, he sent a message to Lu Li, god of massacre. Qi Tianyu has a sovereign weapon, and he knows a powerful, fundamental principle of primordial chaos. Be careful. As far as Qi Dingdong was concerned, Lu Li was no match for Qi Tianyu, even though he had some strange skills and some powerful moves. After all, there was a huge gap between their realms. Qi Tianyu had all kinds of treasures, and his family gave him a sovereign weapon, which was once used by the reincarnation emperor. They flew for more than 30,000 miles. Qi Tianyu stood on a hill and put away the purple gold gourd. The flames had no effect on Lu Li, so it was pointless. A gorgeous longsword appeared in Qi Tianyu's hand. It was a heavy sword with gorgeous divine runes engraved on it. It was extremely dazzling. Qi Tianyu himself was a strong man. He was quite imposing with a heavy sword in his hand. Got a massacre, watch out. Qi Tianyu slowly raised his sword and pointed it at Lu Li. His momentum was growing. Lu Li put away the divine iron. He had used it several times, and his divine energy was running low. Also, the divine iron didn't mean much to Qi Tianyu. When Lu Li was flying over, he had been thinking about how to fight against Qi Tianyu. He didn't want to use the Blood Evil King unless he could avoid it. If he could defeat Qi Tianyu on his own, it would be a great improvement. Blood fight. Lu Li thought about it. He had to find a way to get close and use his physical strength to injure Qi Tianyu. It would be miserable for Lu Li, but it was a conservative way. Lu Li never liked to rely on others. He wouldn't ask the Blood Evil King for help unless his life was in danger. Otherwise, the Blood Evil King would belittle him. Lu Li didn't take out any weapon. Instead, he released a mirror image profound meaning he had learned in the past. He divided himself into 2 and then 4 until there were more than 100 Lu Li. Xiao. More than 100 Lu Lis dashed toward Qi Tianyu from all directions. All of them were brimming with qi and energy, which was quite a frightening sight. In fact, he knew in his heart that this kind of trick could not be hidden from Qi Tianyu's detection, but he still released it. Qi Tianyu smiled. He didn't move, letting the more than 100 Lu Lis charge at him. He pretended to look around, trying to find the real Lu Li. As a matter of fact, he had been keeping an eye on Lu Li's real body. The heavy sword in his hand was glistening, and he was ready to release a thunderous strike at any time. Xiao. Lu Li was fast. In the blink of an eye, he had reached Qi Tianyu. The more than 100 Lu Lis began to attack Qi Tianyu. At the same time, Lu Li released many worms of the void and the daughter of Saint King. He had only one purpose, to interfere with Qi Tianyu's judgment and create a chance for him to get close. His beautiful dream was shattered. Qi Tianyu swung his heavy sword and fiercely slashed at him, tearing a huge crack in the space. The heavy sword was surging with black gas, and it felt as heavy as 1,000 caddies, as if it could break a large mountain range. This move was so fast that Lu Li could not dodge it. That being said, he did not panic. He took out a painting and put it in front of him. A glint of disdain rose in Qi Tianyu's eyes. He continued to hack at Lu Li with his sword. This heavy sword is not an emperor armament, but it is a very powerful treasure. He believed that it could even crack a super shield, let alone a painting. Now, what happened next shocked him. When the heavy sword struck the ancient painting didn't shatter like he had imagined. Instead, his heavy sword sank into the ancient painting. It felt as though his sword had struck water. He also felt a suction force coming from the painting, trying to suck his sword in. He pulled it out at once. How could Lu Li miss such a good opportunity? He put away the painting and grabbed Qi Tianyu's neck with one hand like a dragon's claw. Then he punched at Qi Tianyu for dozens of times with the other hand. Bang, 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 bang. This time, it was Lu Li's turn to be shocked. There was a golden helmet on Qi Tianyu's head. Lu Li's punches carried more than 10,000 pounds of strength, but he felt like he was punching at an iron wall. Lu Li also sent in shock waves of strength. However, the helmet was so strong that all the shock waves were intercepted. Only a small amount of them went in. On the other side, Lu Li released soul shock waves as well. His soul energy had turned into soul needles. They were powerful. Even without the buff of the horn, they were still strong. A purple glare came out from Qi Tianyu's soul. A purple Kylan rushed out and devoured all the soul needles. The enchanted soul protecting Qi Tianyu's soul was strong. It was understandable. After all, Qi Tianyu was the most powerful among the young generation of the Qi family. He was a genius. How could the Qi family not give him a good enchanted soul? Given the resources and power of the Qi family, 8th rank enchanted souls were easy. This purple Kylan might even be a 9th rank enchanted soul. Bang! Qi Tianyu swung his sword. Lu Li fell as if he was hit by a mountain. He was smashed away for more than 300 miles. He felt a fiery pain in his waist, and he also discovered that a stream of energy was being transmitted into his body, quietly destroying his physical body. Impressive, Lu Li thought to himself. Qi Tianyu's casual move had injured him. Lu Li had used all his means, and he was close to Qi Tianyu. Yet, he couldn't inflict any harm on Qi Tianyu. The gap between them was obvious. I will have to try soul attacks. Lu Li thought about it, and sent out more than 100 clones to charge at Qi Tianyu. Qi Tianyu didn't move. He looked at Lu Li with contempt. Just now, Lu Li used 2 kinds of attacks, but neither could break his defense. As far as Qi Tianyu was concerned, Lu Li was like a mouse, and he was the cat that caught the mouse. This time, Lu Li didn't move closer. He stopped about 2 miles away from Qi Tianyu, and then began to move around him. The more than 100 clones were flying around, dazzling. Lu Li took out his horn, and the more than 100 clones blew it together. Of course, it was pointless for the clones to play. Only Lu Li himself could release the law of sound. Before Qi Tianyu could react, the onlookers felt their heads hurt. They left quickly. Qi Tianyu sensed hundreds of millions of soul needles coming at him, but he didn't care. His enchanted soul was of the 9th rank. Even if Lu Li's soul attack was 10 times stronger, he could stand it. After a while, he noticed that the purple Kylan had consumed all the soul needles. Qi Tianyu sneered and said, "Got a massacre. What else do you have? Do it. I will stand here and let you hit me. If you can hurt me, I will admit that you are something." Chapter 2586. Lu Li felt Qi Tianyu was like a tortoise, unable to bite him. Physical attacks were ineffective, nor were soul attacks. Apart from that, Lu Li couldn't think of any other methods of attack. If the divine order chains could be used, Lu Li could kill Qi Tianyu with 1 strike. The thing was it couldn't be used. Not even the divine iron could kill Qi Tianyu. After all, it was just a fragment of a holy weapon. Lu Li was worried. Did he really have to ask the Blood Evil King for help? Lu Li felt humiliated again. After some thoughts, he generated more than 100 clones and dashed over. Qi Tianyu sneered. He didn't move. Looking at the more than 100 Lu Li coming at him, Qi Tianyu found the real Lu Li. This time, Lu Li didn't use other means of attack. He even put away the daughter of a holy king. He just took out the divine iron and smashed at Qi Tianyu. The mystical iron was activated at full force. The divine might was vast and horrifying. More than 100 Lu Lis were releasing such horrifying might. It was a shocking scene. A warrior of the 4th Tribulation Realm would be scared to death by this. Qi Tianyu was not afraid at all. How powerful could a mere fragment of a holy weapon be? If it were a sovereign weapon, Qi Tianyu might have some concerns. When Lu Li was about to attack, Qi Tianyu swung his sword and smashed at Lu Li. This time, Qi Tianyu used all his strength and released the fundamental principle of primordial chaos. Buzzing. At first, Qi Tianyu had thought that Lu Li would use the relic iron to fight him head-on. Unexpectedly, Lu Li put away the relic iron and took out a painting. Lu Li held the painting with both hands and bumped against the dueling sword. Lu Li was so close that Qi Tianyu didn't even have the chance to take back his sword. Lu Li's painting covered him like a quilt. Half of the sword pierced into the painting. A strong suction force almost sucked Qi Tianyu in together with his sword. Whoosh! Qi Tianyu stepped back quickly, but Lu Li stuck to him like glue. He was not slow either. Qi Tianyu saw that the suction was getting stronger. He made up his mind and let go of his sword. The sword disappeared into the painting. This heavy sword was a unique treasure, and it was a weapon that Qi Tianyu was extremely comfortable with. This was a divine weapon that the Qi clan had spent a huge amount of money to hire a grandmaster to forge for his true intent of primal chaos. Qi Tianyu had used it for many years, and he had developed feelings for it. But he did give it up. It was not that he was willing to give it up, but he was confident that he could get it back later. He was even ready to take Lu Li's painting. How could he not be tempted by such a rare treasure? He sped up, increasing the distance between him and Lu Li. He took out another weapon, a pagoda, a 7-colored glazed pagoda. It was crystal clear and gorgeous. It didn't look like a treasure at all, but more like a work of art. It was beautiful to the extreme. However, after this treasure was taken out, everyone's souls began to throb. They felt as though an invisible mountain was pressing down on them. Sovereign weapon. Lu Li had no doubt about it. He identified the grade of the artifact at once. The unique energy of a sovereign weapon was clear. Previously, Xiang Linglong's sovereign weapon had been released many times. Lu Li sensed the same energy as the white jade fan. Got a massacre, be careful. This is an artifact once used by the Reincarnation Emperor. Even though it is no longer used, it still has the mark of Dao left by the Reincarnation Emperor. Xiang Linglong's voice came to Lu Li's mind. Qi Dingdong sent him a message as well. God of Massacre, this is the sovereign weapon once used by our family patriarch. When it is used with full force, it can kill a lord. Lu Li's mind was weighed down. He even found it hard to breathe. At first, he thought he could put away Qi Tianyu's heavy sword, turn him into a toothless tiger, and then find a way to injure him. Now that the sovereign weapon was out, Lu Li felt he was a child challenging a giant with a mace. Whoosh! Qi Tianyu did not give Lu Li any time to think. He mobilized his divine energy. The runes and patterns on the 7-colored glazed pagoda glowed. Streaks of colorful light appeared outside the pagoda and circled around it. A surge of divine energy spread out. At that moment, Lu Li felt an emperor had arrived. What? Sovereign weapon? 7-colored glazed pagoda? The relic weapon used by the Reincarnation Emperor? Blood Emperor's voice rang in Lu Li's mind, but he did not say anything else. The pagoda whooshed over. It enlarged and arrived above Lu Li's head. Then the 7-colored glazed pagoda began to spin. From the bottom came a suction force. Lu Li flew toward the bottom of the pagoda at once. What? Lu Li did not panic. Instead, he was confused. The Blood Emperor had clearly noticed. Why didn't he do anything? Was he not afraid that nobody would fulfill his wish after Lu Li died? Buzzing, a small door appeared at the bottom of the 7-colored glazed pagoda. Lu Li was sucked in quickly. The pagoda shrank and flew back to Qi Tianyu's hand. Qi Tianyu. Qi Dingdong was getting anxious. He flew over and said, "If you dare to kill Lu Li, I will not let this go. Grandpa will punish you severely." Qi Tianyu smiled and said, "Don't worry. I won't kill him. I'm just going to make him suffer a little. Qi Dingdong, you don't have to worry about this. I have my own ideas. I will explain to the Elder Hall." Qi Tianyu's tone was resolute and decisive. Now that Qi Dingdong was disrespecting Lu Li, it was pointless for anyone else to say anything. Qi Dingdong flew down angrily and walked over to Xiang Linglong. Xiang Linglong said nothing. Her expressions were as cold as ice. She knew that if she were to say something, not only would Qi Tianyu not let Lu Li go, but he would also make things worse. Since Qi Tianyu had said that he would not kill Lu Li, then at least Lu Li would not die. Lu Li was not dead, but this was worse than death. He felt like he was in the middle of a crucible of hell, filled with black flames. There were also two strange types of power. One was gray, and it was corroding his life force quintessence. The other was brown, and it was attacking his soul. There were 3 kinds of attacks. The flames were burning his body. The gray energy was corroding his source of life, and the brown energy was attacking his soul. His body was clearly burnt, and his source of life was slipping away. His dragon soul was still struggling to fight back. Anyone else would have lost their heads in fright. But Luli did not. The more dangerous the situation was, the calmer he was. What was more, the Blood Evil King had not sent any message, which meant that there was a way out. Kiddo Lu, you sure can keep your composure. After the time for one incense stick to burn, the Blood Evil King finally said, if the 7-color glazed pagoda is activated by a powerful warrior of the Emperor Realm, you will be turned into ashes in an instant. If it is a powerful warrior of the Lord Realm, you will not be able to hold on for long. But if it is activated by a warrior of the 5th tribulation, it is not a dead end for you. Instead, it is a blessing. Blessing? Chapter 2587. Blood Evil Sovereign explained, don't worry about the source of life. The divine chains of order will protect you. Your enchanted soul can stand the soul attacks. As for the flames, they are perfect for you to refine your body. Luli was surprised. If the divine chains of order and enchanted soul could stand the attacks, then this place would not be a hopeless situation for him. But he could not get out. He would still be trapped here, wouldn't he? When Chi Tianyu got out, Luli could be handed over to the patriarchs of the Chi family and those who killed the 2 warriors for trial. Actually, the greatest fortune here is not to refine your body. What the Blood Evil Emperor said next surprised Luli. The Blood Evil Emperor said, there's a mark of Dharma left by the Reincarnation Emperor here. If you can refine this mark of Dharma, you can refine the 7-color glazed pagoda and make it yours. Take it as my own. Luli blinked in embarrassment. How dare he take the Reincarnation Emperor's sovereign weapon as his own? He must be tired of living. If he dared to take it as his own, the Chi family would turn hostile immediately. The Reincarnation Emperor could track down Lu Li's treasures and send a clone to kill Lu Li. Don't think that Emperor Tyr is so narrow-minded. Blood Evil Sovereign seemed to have read Lu Li's mind. He said, those who can reach the Emperor Realm are broad-minded. I bet that if you can take control of this treasure, not only will the Reincarnation Emperor not be angry, but he will also order the Chi family not to make things difficult for you. He will even list you as an honorary patriarch of the Chi family or a patriarch with real power. If you can learn the rules he left behind, then you must be destined to be with him. He has so many descendants. Who do you think he will recognize? You are just a warrior at the peak of the 5 tribulation realm. He will not take you seriously unless you reach the level of an emperor-to-be. Blood Evil Sovereign's words were reasonable. He was also a warrior of the Emperor Realm. He could infer what the Reincarnation Emperor was thinking with his mind. Luli was still a bit hesitant. Blood Evil Sovereign said with a smile, all right, Lu, don't overthink. Do you think it is easy to learn the Reincarnation Emperor's mark of law? You can do it first. Okay, Luli did not think too much. He sat down on the ground and used divine energy to heal his burned body. The black flames were burning and the divine energy was healing. Through destruction and rebirth, one's physical body would continuously improve. Buzz, after the time for one incense stick to burn, Lu Li's source of life and the chains of sequence glowed. Last time it was the same. After the Blood Evil King absorbed some of Lu Li's life essence, the chains of order glowed. It was as if the chains of order would only show up to protect Lu Li when his life was in danger. When the chains of sequence emerged, Lu Li noticed that his source of life had stopped flowing away. The dragon's soul seemed to be struggling, but could still hold on. Finally, Lu Li could put his mind at ease. He began to refine his body while using the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings. There is indeed a mark. He sensed for a bit and found that he was in a small sealed room. There were strange patterns on the 4 walls. Those patterns were very clear, and he could feel the vastness and profoundness of the inside with just a casual sense. Compared to the marks left by the Emperor of Tao Heaven in the Valley of Tao Seeking, the marks here were clearer and more profound. Lu Li was overjoyed. If he could learn this formation, he would be able to learn a powerful, fundamental principle of a law. He didn't care about what was going on outside anymore. He sat down with his legs crossed, refining his body and studying the marks of laws. He could not get out anyway. He could either wait for Chi Tianyu to let him out, or he could study the marks of laws to refine the seven-colored glazed pagoda. Chi Tianyu was sitting in the backyard of the cabin, feeling pleased with himself. He even took out a cup of tea and sipped on his own. His satisfaction was evident. He held the seven-colored glazed pagoda in one hand. Occasionally, he would check. The imperial weapon was so powerful that he could not even use psychic power to check. He could only vaguely sense the life and death of the person inside. After the time for one incense stick to burn, Chi Tianyu noticed that Lu Li was still strong. Chi Tianyu frowned. How could Lu Li be so strong? How could he not be injured after such a long time? His breath of life was vigorous. He didn't seem to be dying at all. At first, Chi Tianyu did want to kill Lu Li, but now he didn't dare to do so. After all, it would reflect badly on him. As a young master of the Qi family, Chi Tianyu had some sense of the big picture. He wouldn't act recklessly. Therefore, he checked again to see if Lu Li was dead. If Lu Li was dying, Chi Tianyu would stop the seven-colored glazed pagoda. Time flew by. Soon, 2 hours had passed. Lu Li was still vigorous. He didn't seem to be any different from when he went in. Chi Tianyu was surprised, but he didn't know what to do. He had to wait. Soon, another half a day had passed. Chi Tianyu's expressions became unnatural. Nothing had changed about Lu Li. He was still vigorous. Though Chi Tianyu didn't know if Lu Li was suffering in there, at least he wouldn't die. How is that possible? Chi Tianyu couldn't figure it out. His family's patriarch had personally told him that even an ordinary sixth tribulation lord would be refined to death after being sealed inside, let alone a fourth tribulation or fifth tribulation lord. Lu Li was only an immortal from 4 trials. Strong as he was, how could he not be refined to death? Chi Tianyu couldn't figure it out. He couldn't let Lu Li out either. He had to wait. He was no longer in the mood to drink tea. Putting away the teacup, he began to study the marks on the chessboard. Another 5 days passed. Chi Tianyu would check the seven-colored glazed pagoda every once in a while. Lu Li was still the same. Chi Tianyu didn't even bother to check after 5 days. After all, Lu Li could not die or get out. Chi Tianyu would just keep him in the seven-colored glazed pagoda and let the Qi family's Hall of Patriarchs deal with him when he got out. Chi Tianyu had achieved his goal of establishing dominance by sealing Lu Li. Chi Tianyu studied the chessboard for a while and realized that he could not study the marks here. He walked to the pond where Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong were. He wanted to strike while the iron was hot and pursue Xiang Linglong. He felt good about defeating Lu Li and thought that Xiang Linglong would look at him in a different light. Therefore, he walked over to Exquisite Long and sat down cross-legged. He took out some wine cups and delicacies and said with a smile, "Exquisite Long, Ding Dong, cultivation is not something that can be achieved overnight. Take a rest. Don't worry. God of War Lu won't die. I'll show mercy." Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong opened their eyes. Qi Dingdong was angry, but Xiang Linglong was as cold as ice. She showed no emotion. Xiang Linglong didn't look at Qi Dingdong. She thought about it and said, "Ding Dong, I want to go to the Rocks Ridge. Do you want to go? There are too many flies here. I don't feel comfortable." "Okay." Qi Ding Dong nodded. He stood up, stared at Chi Tianyu, and said, "Linglong, let's go. I don't feel comfortable here." Chapter 2588. Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong were gone, and Lu Li was trapped. The valley of Dao-seeking quieted down. Nobody was making trouble anymore. Everyone went to study the marks of Dao. It was a rare opportunity to come in. Nobody wanted to waste time. At first, Chi Tianyu would throw a look at the seven-colored glazed pagoda every now and then. But after half a year, Lu Li was still the same. Chi Tianyu didn't bother to look at Lu Li anymore. He put the pagoda aside. If Lu Li really died, then it would be Lu Li's misfortune. It seemed that Xiang Linglong would not make any progress anytime soon. Chi Tianyu didn't dare to push her too hard. Otherwise, Xiang Linglong would hate him completely. Chi Tianyu began to study the marks of Dao to see if he could learn something. Lu Li was having a good time here. The flames here were powerful and could improve his physical body. But the marks of doubt here were too profound. He had been studying for half a year without any progress. The walls had 4 sides, and there were countless vein patterns on them. Those vein patterns formed small pictures, and the small pictures formed large pictures. Between the large pictures, there was me and you and me. It looked like a vast starry sky map, mysterious to the extreme. The Blood Emperor didn't say anything. Given his abilities, he should be able to see through many things. But he didn't say anything. Clearly, he wanted Lu Li to study on his own. That being said, if one were to rely on others' guidance, it would be difficult for one to master the fundamental principles even if the progress could be sped up. That was because one had yet to understand the essence of fundamental principles. Others' guidance will be perceived by others, which could lead to problems. There are 33 pictures here. What kind of fundamental principles of formations are they? Lu Li frowned. He couldn't figure it out. Somehow, he felt that it was not a fundamental principle in the pictures, but a strange skill. Lu Li couldn't do anything. He had to keep on studying. Time flew by in closed-door cultivation. Soon, 2 years had passed. Lu Li had been in here for 2 years. His physical body had been improving quickly, but it had slowed down recently. His resistance to fire and the improvement of his physical body made the flames here ineffective against him. Since he could not be harmed, the progress of his physical body had slowed down. After 2.5 years, he was still unable to comprehend the nomological imprints within the 7-colored glazed pagoda. However, it was not that he did not have any breakthroughs. He was sure of one thing. This was not a nomological true meaning, but an extremely powerful secret technique. He vaguely had some ideas, but unfortunately, he had not completely grasped the basics. Outside, Qi Tianyu and the others had been studying for more than 2 years, and someone had made great progress. A young master of the Goyang family had actually learned a secret skill left behind by the Dao Heaven Patriarch, and he had already learned it. It was only a matter of time before he mastered it. How powerful was the secret art left behind by Dao Heaven Patriarch? If he could completely master it, this young master of the Gong Yang clan's battle prowess would definitely soar. In addition, there were 2 from the Qi clan and 1 from the Xiang clan. On the other hand, Qi Tianyu, Xiang Baiye, Gonyang Wuxie, and the others did not make much progress, mainly because their cultivation levels were too high. For example, Qi Tianyu's ordinary comprehension was meaningless to him. If he could comprehend something big, then he would have crossed a threshold and taken half a step into the Lord realm. Is this kid a cockroach that can't be killed? It has been more than 2 years, and nothing has happened to him? Qi Tianyu glanced at the 7-colored glazed pagoda, annoyed. He didn't want to look at it anymore. He put away the imperial weapon into his interspatial ring. It had been more than 2 years, and he had gained nothing. Divine energy and soul had been improved, but for him, it meant little. In the primordial mystery realm, Qi Tianyu was pursuing the fundamental principles of divine law. Nothing else mattered. The Qi family had many resources that could help him improve his divine energy and soul quickly. But the fundamental principles of divine law could not be learned. He had to rely on himself. Qi Tianyu's original intention was to make a breakthrough in the fundamental principles of divine law and see if he could take down Xiang Linglong. So far, he had achieved neither. Qi Tianyu should have been proud of himself when he defeated Lu Li. But Lu Li was fine, which upset him. Bang! Right at that moment, the sky in the distance began to tremble as if there were powerful warriors fighting in the sky. Many people were alarmed, especially those from the Qi family. A signal for help? Qi Tianyu glanced at it and was slightly stunned. This was the Qi family's distress signal, but most of the Qi family members were here. What was more, the heaven universe would be safe as long as they didn't go to the dangerous places. Who sent the signal? It's Ding Dong. Qi Tianyu came to his senses soon. He waved his hand and said, "Qi family, come with me." Qi Tianyu was not happy that Qi Ding Dong was helping Lu Li. But she was a young lady of the Qi family, his cousin, and second patriarch's favorite granddaughter. Qi Tianyu could not let anything happen to her. Otherwise, he would suffer in the future. Bang! Almost at the same time, A jade talisman on Xiang Baiya's waist cracked. Xiang Baiya pulled a long face. He shouted, "Something happened to Ling Long. Xiang family, come with me." Qi Tianyu and Xiang Baiya flew away with a group of people. Gong Yang Wuxia and those from the Palace of Cold Water were surprised as well. Many people flew away as well, trying to find out what was going on. Gong Yang Wuxia and the other young masters from the Palace of Cold Water were not interested in Ling Long, mainly because they didn't want to offend Qi Tianyu. But they were interested in Qi Dingdong. If they could marry Qi Dingdong, then their status in the Frigid Sea area would be elevated. They sped up to the top of their speed and rushed toward the direction where the signal was sent. Someone took out a map to check. Soon, he shouted, "It should be the Rocks Ridge." Yes, the Rocks Ridge. Qi Tianyu remembered what Ling Long said. There were traces of Taoist Dao at the Rocks Ridge as well. It was just that there weren't as many or as obvious. The Rocks Ridge was not far away. In just an hour, they had arrived. They could see from the distance that the Rocks Ridge was filled with light and killing intent. Oh no, there are powerful divine glyphs here. The two girls have triggered them. Qi Tianyu glanced over. His expression was awful. Everyone was looking at the Rocks Ridge as well. Countless divine glyphs were glowing. The air was filled with crisscrossing black chains and many shadows of beasts. Two small figures were struggling in the rocky mountains. Xiang Linglong was holding her emperor weapon, the white jade fan, blocking off the beast phantoms that kept coming from all directions. Qi Dingdong also took out a treasure. But if it wasn't for Ling Long's sovereign weapon, the two of them would have been dead. Even with the sovereign weapon, the situation was very bad. Qi Dingdong's mouth was bleeding. He was obviously injured. The two of them had sent out the signal for help because they couldn't hold on. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked for help. What should we do? Qi Tianyu was panicking. If it was the attack of the beasts, they could still do something. But they didn't know anything about divine glyphs. Chapter 2589. Dozens of black chains crisscrossed. Countless images of strange beasts came from all directions. These beasts appeared out of thin air. They looked like ghostly beasts coming out of the shadows. All the beasts were black. They looked ferocious and terrifying. Their presence was also very frightening. Xiang Linglong's white jade fan released rays of multicolored light that formed a protective barrier around Xiang Linglong. Qi Dingdong had her back to back, but half of her body was not covered by the light. That was why countless beasts kept attacking her. She had a string of white beads in her hand. Every time a beast came, the beads would fly out and split into 12 beads, which would attack the beasts. She could scatter the beasts every time, but there would be shock waves. Qi Dingdong was injured again and again. Blood seeped out of the corner of her mouth. She would be fine for now, but if this went on, she would be in trouble. Xiang Linglong could barely hold on with her sovereign weapon, but the beasts were endless. Using the sovereign weapon required a lot of divine power. She couldn't keep using it for a long time. When the divine power was used up, she wouldn't be able to use the weapon anymore. Let's attack together and try to break the formation. Qi Tianyu didn't dare to wait any longer. He took out the 7-colored glazed pagoda and used it to attack the black chains. The rest of the people also made their moves. They either unleashed their treasures or unleashed their divine abilities, all of them colliding with the black chains. Boom, boom, boom. The dozens of people were all Fifth Tribulation cultivators. Many of them had great treasures. When they all attacked together, the noise was huge. Everything within a radius of 100 miles felt oppressed. Even the space was fluctuating. Buzz, the black divine chains released boundless black light, causing the space around them to tremble slightly. However, everyone's hearts quickly sank because the black chains did not show any signs of collapsing even after being attacked by so many people. They felt as if they were unbreakable and indestructible. In fact, they didn't have much hope before they attacked. The divine glyphs here had already been tested and couldn't be broken. Even many Lord-level beings couldn't break the divine glyphs, let alone them. Think of something. I'll keep attacking. After a while, Qi Tianyu told the Qi family to stop. So did Xiangbaya. He told the Xiang family to think of something. They kept attacking to see if they could exhaust the energy of the divine glyphs. That way, they could at least reduce the power of the beasts inside. Buzz, inside the seven-colored glazed pagoda, when Qi Tianyu was attacking, the lines on the walls suddenly glowed. Countless lines began to wander, which dazzled Lu Li. Lu Li, who was sitting with his legs crossed in silence, suddenly woke up. He opened his eyes wide and looked around. The patterns were moving around crazily, which confused him. He felt there were many artifact spirits moving around. Vaguely, he could see that those patterns seemed to form strange characters. Those were not ordinary characters. Each character contained a powerful and mysterious power. At this moment, Lu Li felt a little breathless. The pressure that these characters gave him was even greater than that of the archweapons. He was stunned for a moment. He realized that the characters had disappeared and turned back into patterns. He widened his eyes and tried to look again, but he could no longer find the feeling he had before. He did not try to capture that feeling in a hurry. Instead, he closed his eyes to calm himself down. When he was calm enough, he opened his eyes and squinted again to let himself be in a trance. This time it worked. This time, he could vaguely see those diagrams forming 11 large words. Every 3 diagrams formed a mysterious word. These words could dazzle one's soul, and they were extremely profound. They emitted a thick and powerful aura. Every character was like a star. Lu Li felt he would be smashed into pieces if he were pressed down by those characters. Lu Li did not have the courage to take a closer look. He stayed where he was, in a trance and in a trance. He tried to record the characters in the depth of his soul, to remember every stroke of the characters and to remember their original form. Well, if I engrave the characters in my body, they will never disappear. Then, Lu Li thought of another way. He began to mobilize energy in his acupoints. Just like when he was carving the marks of Tao, he wanted to engrave the characters in his body, in his bones. He didn't know what was the point of doing this and whether it would be dangerous or not. All he wanted was to engrave the strange and powerful characters so that they would never be forgotten. Soon, he mobilized some energy and began to engrave the characters in his body. It was a bit strenuous because he wanted the characters to be exactly the same without any deviation. After the time for one incense stick to burn, the first character was engraved. Lu Li checked and found it was exactly the same. He went on at once. Somehow, he had a feeling that he had grasped the essence. There was a chance that he could learn the powerful skill of the Reincarnation Emperor. Boom, boom, boom. Qi Tianyu and White Tusk kept on attacking while the others began to figure out how to crack the runes. Now that they had reached this level, they had more or less understood the runes. They tried many ways to see if they could crack the runes. If they could not, it would be better to weaken the attacks inside. Time moved on. For hours had passed. They had tried many ways, but to no avail. Qi Tianyu and White Tusk had been attacking for 4 hours. Not only were the black chains not cracked, but the beasts inside were not weakening either. Inside, Linglong's face was pale. Her forehead was covered in sweat. Clearly, she was having a hard time. Qi Dingdong was in a worse state. More blood was oozing out his mouth. His chest was stained red. We can't go on like this. Qi Tianyu was panicking. He shouted, "Think of something. If Ding Dong dies, Second Patriarch will tear us apart." Everyone in the Qi family knew how much Second Patriarch loved Qi Ding Dong. Qi Ding Dong had come to the Rocks Ridge because Qi Tianyu had suppressed Lu Li. Qi Tianyu was responsible for this. If Qi Ding Dong died, Second Patriarch would make Qi Tianyu suffer, if not kill him. The others looked at each other. Nobody could figure out a way. How could they crack the runes created by Ancestor Tao Heaven? They might not even be able to get their seniors to come. Stop! Stop attacking! Linglong suddenly shouted from inside. Qi Tianyu, let Lu Li out. He is very knowledgeable in runes. He is the only one who can save us now. Lu Li? Qi Tianyu was surprised. Out of instinct, he put up his guard. Lu Li was only at the initial stage of the Fourth Tribulation, and he was so young. How could he be so knowledgeable in runes at such a young age? Could it be that this was a trap? Xiang Linglong and the others could crack the runes, but the trap was to create a dangerous situation so that they could save Lu Li. Chapter 2590. Killed by Refinement. Xiang Linglong was upset to hear this. As far as she was concerned, the only person that could save them was Lu Li. Back in that strange small world, Lu Li must have been very good at sacred glyphs. He could crack the sacred glyphs of Hermit Cold Mountain easily, and the sacred glyphs plaza he built later was impressive as well. Qi Tianyu and the others? Xiang Linglong didn't expect that the divine inscriptions hadn't changed even after 4 hours. This meant that brute force couldn't break them. She also activated her white jade fan, but it didn't have any effect on the divine inscriptions. As for using skills to crack the sacred glyphs, Xiang Linglong was not belittling the sacred glyphs. They knew nothing about sacred glyphs. Lu Li is dead? Linglong, what should we do? Qi Dingdong's state of mind was obviously not as steady as Linglong's. She panicked and said, "Are we going to die here? I don't want to die. Linglong, I haven't even been in a relationship. How can I die?" Xiang Linglong rolled her eyes, feeling somewhat speechless. What was this girl thinking about at this time? She thought about it and said, "There is no other way. The entrance must be sealed. People outside cannot get in. We have to try our best to hold on. Let's see if they can crack the sacred glyphs by chance. Ding Dong, don't give up. We have to hold on until the last moment." Okay. Qi Ding Dong wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, revealing a poignant smile. Her eyes seemed to be in a trance as she murmured, "If a prince on a white horse were to descend from the heavens and save me from my misery, I would definitely marry him and give birth to a few babies for him." Xiang Linglong was speechless. This girl was too naive and naive. What was on her mind? Did she think this was a fairy tale? How could there be so many stories about beautiful women and heroes? What was more, this place was sealed off. There were only the people inside. Where would the heroes come from? Even if a hero came, Qi Dingdong hoped that it would be a young master. Young people didn't know about sacred glyphs. Qi Tianyu and the others were panicking, but there was nothing they could do. Two of them kept on attacking, while the others tried their best to crack the sacred glyphs. Time passed by quickly. Soon, another 4 hours had passed. Lu Li was still engraving the 11 mysterious runes. He had already engraved 5 runes. The engraving went very smoothly. Although it took a lot of time, it could actually be engraved. The people outside still didn't make any progress. Many people had already given up in their hearts and were only pretending to be thinking of ways to decipher the divine inscriptions. They didn't know much about divine runes, so how could they possibly decipher Tao Heaven Patriarch's divine runes? Qi Tianyu and White Fang had already given up all hope. Only now did Qi Tianyu realize that this wasn't a ruse by Exquisite Long. Something really had happened. This was because Qi Dingdong was heavily injured and on the verge of death. It was impossible to fake it. White Fang was even more anxious because Xiang Linglong was his biological sister, his only sister, the sister he loved the most. If Exquisite Dragon died, he would probably go crazy. At this moment, he was about to go crazy. He used all his strength to attack the black chains. His eyes were red, and he looked like an injured wild beast. PFFF, another 4 hours passed. Xiang Linglong opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face was as pale as a sickly patient's. The multicolored light from the white jade fan dimmed and almost disappeared. PFFF. At the same time, because the multicolored light from the white jade fan dimmed, Qi Dingdong was attacked twice. Her injuries worsened. If it wasn't for Xiang Linglong's quick reaction, she would have been sent flying. "Where's my prince?" Qi Dingdong was starting to lose consciousness. She instinctively used her treasure to block the attacks from the strange beasts around her. She kept mumbling. "The clan leader said that I was a very lucky person. I shouldn't die so easily. There will definitely be a hero who will come down from the sky on a white horse and save me. My hero, hurry up and come. Your ding-dong is about to die." "Silly girl. Xiang Linglong mumbled and shook her head speechlessly. She was a very rational person and never believed in such things. She had always been very independent and worked very hard. She didn't want to rely on any man but herself. However, at this moment, a woman's innate weakness was acting up. Her heart was actually longing for a strong and handsome man to come down from the sky and save her. Every woman actually had a hero complex in their heart. It was a side effect of hearing too many stories about beautiful heroes since young. Boom, boom, boom. The seven-colored glazed pagoda kept on attacking. The arch weapon's divine might was very frightening. The seven-colored glazed pagoda was also releasing a blinding light. The seven lights were dazzling and dazzling. As they shone down, everything below became very beautiful. At this moment, Xiang Linglong's mind became even more dazzled. A moment later, she was slightly astonished. The dazed look in her eyes became even more intense. She seemed to see the seven-colored glazed pagoda spinning. It was no longer attacking the black chains. Instead, it kept spinning in the sky as if it was dancing. If Qi Tianyu wasn't crazy, he wouldn't control the seven-colored glazed pagoda to dance on top of the chains. What was the situation now? Why would he do such a thing? Hence, Xiang Linglong's mind became even more dazed. She even suspected that she was hallucinating. Was she about to die? Linglong, Qi Ding Dong suddenly spoke at this moment. She also looked up in confusion and said, "Why is that pagoda dancing on top of us? Is Qi Tianyu crazy? Or am I hallucinating?" Xiang Linglong was stunned. She suddenly became clear-headed. She wasn't hallucinating. Qi Ding Dong saw it too. This meant that the seven-colored glazed pagoda was indeed dancing on top of them. She took a few looks and suddenly looked at Qi Tianyu. She realized that he also looked as if he had seen a ghost. Qi Tianyu was even more shocked than Xiang Linglong and the others. He suddenly realized that the spiritual connection between him and the seven-colored glazed pagoda was weakening. He couldn't control the pagoda anymore. It was dancing in midair. What's going on? His eyes widened. This was the arch weapon that he had refined. How could it not be under his control? What was the problem? Was there something wrong with the arch weapon? Or was there a Thear-cranked martial artist hiding nearby who had forcefully refined his arch weapon? Qi Tianyu couldn't figure it out. He could only use his spiritual connection to control the seven-colored glazed pagoda. He wanted to fly back to him. What a joke. This was the arch weapon. It was the weapon that their clan king had used in the past. If he lost it, he would probably be beaten to death by his father and grandfather. The others noticed this as well. The seven-colored glazed pagoda was flying around in all sorts of directions. It was hard not to notice it. Everyone looked at Qi Tianyu. When they saw his expression, they were all bewildered. They didn't know what was going on. Soon, everyone knew what was going on. The seven-colored glazed pagoda suddenly stopped in midair. There was a flash of light. A person appeared outside the seven-colored glazed pagoda. The pagoda quickly shrank and flew into his palm. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.